all makes sense now.
Well,
All
I
right.
didn't notice it all. So.
You didn't notice anything.
Because it's gross.
What were we talking about in the car?
I don't know. Relationships?
Were we talking about men? Yeah. Okay.
Isn't that the topic all the time?
It can be though.
Oh,
What's it
Most
like?
of the time.
No. Okay, wait. I was talking. So I was in the chapel on Saturday,
Yes.
right? And I was like
Saturday.
reflecting. I told you I was reflecting on this one reflection about Saint Joseph
Mm-hmm.
and how like. And I find this was like an interesting observation that I noted. Like, you know how like there's this thing that like men should always provide, and then like there's always like this. I've noted this with a lot of like boyfriends for the friends I date, like the friends that I have who have boyfriends, that like they tend to be like, oh, I only want to propose when I feel secure, when I feel like I can provide, like now's not the right time. And then I was like reading this reflection about Saint Joseph, and then they were like, can you imagine the self-doubt that Saint Joseph had when they got to Bethlehem and he literally couldn't find a shelter for his pregnant wife to sleep, and she was like this close to giving birth, but like he still provided for her, and he was still there for her emotionally. Like he provided her like something to her that in the way that mattered, not like what his what society's expectation of what men are supposed to provide. He didn't do that. He actually provided like what she needed in that moment and like what he could provide. And then I find that really interesting because I find like with a lot of men, like we were talking in the car about this.
Okay, so you're saying about Joseph.
So when we were in the car, we were talking about like this like someone you knew who was like dating a guy who was like, I don't want to have another kid yet until I'm ready. But it's just like, how do you know when you're like ready? Right?
Yeah.
Like how do you, like from your perspective,
Mhm.
like how do you feel, like how did you feel you were ready to propose? Like when did you, like what's secure to you?
Ooh,
Like-
tables have turned.
No, but it's true,
turntables.
Oh, like how do you, what is the
Are you ready?
definition of secure? Like
This is what you wanted.
How
is what
did
you asked
I?
for, bro.
Hold on. How did
You
I
put yourself in
know?
this
Spicy
position.
I
question.
did. I did. So the question is, how did I know?
like what is your definition of secure? Like I'm ready to provide. Like what if you never are? Like, and the other question is just like, because I've told this to people, say you do get married,
Yeah.
and then the man loses his job. Now you're not secure. You're gonna like not be in a relationship. You know, like what's keeping you
It's
from
true. You have to
proposing?
like always go through
Yeah.
a refine.
I think so, but it's like the confidence, right, that a person feels, or I guess in this case, like a guy will feel that they're in a position that's also ready to do that, right? So it's not so much like check marking, like, oh, I got the promotion or I feel secure at my job. It's being like, I'm in a position where I am satisfied enough with my situation
Mm-hmm.
that I can move forward with someone else and take on the load of caring for that other person.
So my question is, how much of that is your decision, and how much of a conversation do you need to have with a significant other? Because from what you're saying, it sounds like you're making the decision about whether you're confident.
Yes, because it's a personal choice. Like, it's a personal confidence. You
But
can't.
if you're,
Yeah,
it's
but
a
if you're
relationship,
sharing it with
shouldn't you
someone
have that
else.
communication with that other person and say like, listen, I know where we're at. I feel confident with where we're at. Like you might not feel confident here, but I
Mhm.
feel like we can work on that together. So where does that come in that conversation?
I think I get what you're saying, but I think there still is
Like obviously there has to be a personal reflection.
yeah.
But at what point do you have that conversation with your significant other?
I think then, okay, let's look at it this way then, where let's say I'm feeling closer to possibly being the person that can provide,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or confident that I'll be able to do that, but I have some doubts.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm like 30 or 20 more percent that I need to get a push with. So maybe then it's like, oh, if I talk to my significant other here, they'll help me feel or fill in those 20% gaps.
Yeah.
But unless I've hit that first 80% on my own,
Yeah.
and I'm ready to even have the conversation,
Yeah.
then there's nothing my significant other can do.
I think the
to
problem
give me
is
confidence.
like a lot of men just get to that 80% and then still feel like they have to get to 100. But you're never really always going to be ever at 100. You know what I mean? So like at one point, does that become our problem and not just your problem?
I guess it depends on the guy though. Is there a
Yeah.
real life situation that you're applying this with? Or,
I don't know how much I can talk about it. But
well, you don't have to say
Yeah.
names, but like, is there a situation?
well, like, I mean, like if this is like,
Well, let's just simply like talk about like marriage.
Yeah.
Like we were just mentioning that. Like some guys date a person for a really long time. Like
Yeah.
you're dating this person for like 4 or 5 years.
Mhm.
And
You both have jobs.
you
You're
both
good.
you both are stable and stuff. So
Mhm.
what happens? Where does it end? Like I mean there's a saying, right? Like why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free? That's a big one, right? Like
Yeah.
a huge I'm so sorry, that's a huge thing. Like people I've heard that. Like people say that. Like, you know, I get it. Like it's an old school saying, like, you know, we don't live in those times anymore. And people
No, but
you
it's
know,
fair,
we'll
though.
do
It's
but it
fair.
is a fair thing, right? So like at what point can a man be like, okay, we've been dating for this long, I feel like we're ready to take the next step. What is the next step? And then it's that conversation, like if he's still like saying, well, I'm not ready, then at that point it's like a conversation that's like, well, are you ever gonna be ready?
Yeah, when are you gonna be ready?
Do you see what I'm saying? Like
Like-
we're talking about marriage here.
Mhm.
It could be with kids,
Yeah.
it could be having kids, it could be moving in
like
together, it
where's
could
the
be like so many other
intentionality?
things.
Like at what point are you saying like I intend to marry you? Right?
But
Like
I'm
if
not
that's
ready.
the intention, like
Mhm.
years later.
right? Like when like so like I think that's the thing a lot of women want. Like we just want to
You
know
want security.
Yeah, we want
That's the
security
biggest
in the
thing.
relationship
Yeah.
because we can have the house, we can have the kids, but if we don't have a partner that's in it with us, like we're not going to want that. That's why women walk away from like relationships where guys don't know how to just like say this is what
So
I
you're
want.
saying that's kind of the norm right now? That you think that guys are just more cold feet?
I think men are more complacent.
Yeah.
But I also believe it's because, and I'm gonna put it out there, I think it's also
Yeah.
women's fault.
Yeah.
It's
We
our
don't
fault
hold
too.
them
It's
up to
because
that.
you're not holding somebody accountable, and you're not literally putting your place where your place
You're
is.
allowing yourself.
Like you're allowing him to treat you that way.
Yeah.
So like I'm like, if you're like 2 years in and 3 years in and you're having these conversations and the guy's like, well, I don't know yet. I'm like, bro, what do you need to know?
Yeah, they
Like, what else do you need from me?
you let
Like,
them
we
get
know this.
comfortable.
You know me. You know what we have jobs. Like, what do you need from me? And if you can't make that decision, then I'm sorry, I gotta walk out because I can't keep waiting
Keep
for
waiting,
you.
yeah.
Like, you know, women, we wait, and then you just wasted 4
Mhm.
years of your life with
Yeah.
a guy that was never willing to commit in the first place
Yeah.
because he keeps
Yeah.
like putting it off, and then what? You got to start from zero all over again.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
why it's like so much pressure. Like when you find someone, it's just like women like we want to have that. Or some women don't know if they want to, whatever. But then like you have to find a man who also wants the same things. But like nowadays, like men don't even know if that's what they want. Like they
Yep.
just
Like they don't even know what they want.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't.
Don't know what they
It's
want.
I
It's
think
like really,
I think
really messed up. It's like
I think there's a lot of
Well,
factors though to
there's
consider.
a lot of options. I think that's why
It's
But like it's
not even the options though.
there's a
It's-
lot of options out there.
There are, of course. Well, there's a lot of options both
There's
ways.
a lot of
no?
options for men. I feel like there's a lot of options for men when it comes to women because you
to
can go
get the free milk.
yeah.
free milk and you get like a wife that you don't have to marry her.
Yeah. Because women
It's
are
true,
because
though.
women are willing to just let themselves
Yeah.
like be satisfied with like just like half a relationship, right?
So isn't that kind of the interesting
But
thing?
then
though?
you're expecting him to secure
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
give you something that he was never willing to give you anyways.
Yeah.
Like you're already changing the cards.
Like
the
both
culture,
of you,
the culture is saying women also are doing their own thing, getting
Yeah.
their own jobs, getting
Women
their
are
careers.
That's the
independent,
problem.
like-
They are also kind of getting like get out in some certain situations. So now you're giving guys that, like you said, that in and out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but
That
then there's
free
the other
pass.
half. Is it like
Yeah, it's
two
both ways.
separate populations of women, or do you think it's like more of like a transition where it's like, oh,
I feel like some women eventually
ba-
get to
yeah,
a point
exactly,
where
where
they've
they-
been burned by so many guys that they're like, I just want a guy who knows what he wants. But then they're not out there.
mm.
Yeah.
So is this like obviously men have to take some.
They have to
Ownership.
step up, like 100%.
They do,
But
but like
we
you're
also
saying,
have
that's
to
the
set the
thing.
bar
Yeah,
up
no,
a
like
little
100.
bit
We have to
more.
work on ourselves.
We
like,
also need to put the bar up here. So
Yeah.
if your bar is up here, you're not gonna take a guy who's down here
Yeah.
because he's never gonna be able to give you what you want. But if you're like saying, okay, I'm here, but I'm gonna come down to where you are because you know what, I care enough about you, and I feel like maybe you'll change, and I feel like maybe you'll give me what I want. No, he's never going to because this is what he can give you.
Yeah.
You're up here, he's here. You need to like get a man who's gonna be able to be here
Yeah.
with you. If you can't have that, then it's never gonna happen.
So you see no problem then with saying, oh, it's on the onus is on the women to make men like
we're
back
the ones that
Onus is
make
on
we're-
both.
It's on both.
Okay.
But I think women are the ones that like set the bar. We
Yeah.
really do. We're the ones that like you're courting me.
yeah.
I'm the one that's telling you what I want.
But as a
and
man,
I'm willing
like,
to take
yeah.
it or not. And you as a man, you're like, okay, well, I don't want that either.
Wait, but
so
is there a world though where because of the switch as well with women now being again like kind of being the breadwinner or potentially getting their own careers that they start courting men?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
I don't think like in that nature, like I don't think it works like that. I feel like I've just talked to
Maybe
so many
some women.
Some women can some women can
Yeah.
initiate, but when it comes down to it, I feel like men have to be the ones to again step up and say I'm willing to protect this family, you know what I mean. Women can make more money, who cares, whatever, you can be the breadwinner, but if the man isn't there emotionally
Yeah.
to support a family, if they're not there, financially is different,
Well,
emotionally is
so
something
what do you
different.
mean by that then? If not just because
Financially?
right now I thought providing is financially because
Yeah.
that's a society.
Well,
we
you
live
have to
in.
also provide emotionally. A guy has to be there, committed. He has to be a
Security
husband.
doesn't just mean money.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I feel like nowadays that's what it's all on.
Yeah.
It's about power, money, how much can you give me and how much do I have to give you? It's a give and take kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's all about that either, right? You have to be able to give that. Love, as we said, shows up. Love is
Love shows
choosing
up?
every day. Yeah. You're choosing the person every single day. So
Mhm.
you're choosing to love this person in spite of all the things that they might be short on. But
Mhm.
that's what you compensate with. You compensate for those things maybe.
Yeah.
He doesn't have this, but I have this. But as long as I feel for women, it has to be security. But I don't think it's, you know what? A woman can go with a man that's insecure, might not be financially
Mhm.
stable, but she'll be with him because he gives her security.
Yeah.
That's emotional.
He makes her feel safe.
She's safe, securely,
in a
emotionally.
relationship.
She won't care about the money.
Yeah.
But I feel nowadays,
it's
hard because
it's hard to feel safe.
Yeah.
it's
But the
hard.
thing is, I've heard this argument, and I think you already have heard this, where it's it's evolutionary that women just want the security because of, in the past, men had to be the providers and women would take care of the kids. And when it came to raising your children, you wanted a strong man to be able to keep you safe, right? Especially when you were vulnerable with your children. And if a man was just going around sleeping around and having multiple kids and not really taking care of you and your family, it just, again, it wouldn't make sense evolutionary. You would die because
Yeah.
the man would be
Mhm.
gone. So the idea was to keep him around by, that's basically why women care so much about security and
Yeah.
not having a guy just go around.
But
doing
again,
that.
that's the thing. Are men in that
Yeah.
place where they can provide that security,
Yeah.
where they can tell a woman, I will be here for you.
But the argument now is you don't break out of that just need for it anymore, because now you're your own boss. You don't need a man to.
Yeah, I don't feel that
No,
way.
I think women like to tell themselves that.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
every woman that's I'm my own boss, I'm my own
You're
thing.
still lonely.
You're still lonely, and at the end of the day, you're still looking for a man who's gonna be there for you, who's gonna
You're
come
looking
home
for
to
a partner.
every woman. I don't care what anyone
Yeah.
says, as much as they're and if a woman is completely shut off from a man, it's because she's been burned. She's
Yeah.
been burned. Men have used her and abused her, and she's I'm done.
So I need to ask one more question then, because you guys are all we're all religious to some extent in this table, or we all have.
We
So
are.
it's like-
we all are.
I'm just trying to say,
I'll show this to Father.
is this
podcast about?
is this just being because is this coming out only from the Catholic woman perspective, or do you think even because you all have friends who have different religions, different faiths, no faith, whatever, so is it something that's common just across the board that you're seeing, or is it literally just
Women want to feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
That's a common thing.
I don't think it has anything to do with
Yeah.
faith.
Well,
we were all created to be loved and
Yeah.
love, right? So that was what we were created for, which is why all of us, men and women, men need women, women need men. It's just how we were created. I don't think there's a way to get away from that. As much as we want to reroute it and make women independent and they don't need men. No,
human race exists because women need men,
if
need
women were to run the world, bro, we would all die. You can't. You need men. You need men. You need to procreate. You need men for things, and you need women for other things. That's why we complement each other. So
stopping a competition.
I think it's just meant. But that's
I'm
the
with
thing,
you
though.
on that.
The society that we live in today has put us against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea. It's well, men did this to us, so we hate you. And
Yeah.
we're going to be on our own and we don't need you. But you kind of do.
Yeah.
You kind of do. I've had friends who's literally well, I don't need a man to have a baby. I'm yeah, you kind of do.
I'm where
And
did
they're
that sperm come from?
I don't need it. And I'm you kind of have to go to a sperm bank and guess where the sperm comes from. So you technically do. So I don't know what you're talking about. Unless you're willing to have a baby, it doesn't make sense to me. When people say that, I'm and also it bothers me because I came from a single mom, right? I know what it was like to grow up without my dad. And I'm why do you want that for your kid? Do you know how messed up that is? It really does. It does take a toll. It affects you on a child. Why do you want to choose that? Women were not made to be like the breadwinner, the father, the mother. They weren't
Everything
created
carried-
that way.
Well, anyone
They were
like
not.
basically you're giving them double the work, right?
We're not meant to do that. We were meant to do it in a partnership.
Mhm.
You're supposed to. Why would my mom didn't choose that? Like, women who are single mothers who have literally like they have to work 2 jobs. They don't choose it. Like, so you're gonna choose that for your child because you can do it because I make good money. What if you lose your job? What happens then?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like, it just makes me so mad. I'm like, I can't talk to you. I can't do it. No, thanks.
She's
Okay, well
tapped
then
out.
let's go back to Lou's question now. Now that I've kind of like
Sorry.
just asked
I
mine
get
though.
it.
So your question is those like when is it how do men step up or like what's the question here? Or your gripe is basically men just need to step up.
yeah.
Again.
Step it up.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, I think on both sides, both men and women have to understand that you have to be intentional. You
Yeah.
can't just like fly into a relationship.
Mm.
Like, you can't. Like, you have to be intentional on both sides. Both of you have to know what you want. Women who don't know what kind of men they want, they're the ones who they get burned by men because they allowed themselves to be with men who were less than what they deserved.
Yes, but a lot of women that happens to is because they have really low self-esteem and they
Yeah.
struggle with understanding what their like value is or like knowing that they're loved, like they actually deserve to be loved by someone. Like sometimes that happens to a lot of women. Like they think that, okay, well, I've been treated like this for my entire life, so maybe I'm the
deserve
problem.
this. Yeah.
Maybe I deserve to be treated that way, which is so ridiculous, but it's just the way it is. Like you've been so hurt, you've been so like beat up in a way emotionally that you actually believe that that's what you deserve, and then no one can change that for you unless you actually look at yourself. And it's like, well, obviously if we talk about in concept of God, you understand who God is
Yeah.
and he loves you, then okay, that changes your perspective as well. But I'm saying like women struggle with that. A lot of women these days struggle with like self-love and understanding that you deserve better. Like
So the thing is, men struggle with this as well, and they
Yeah,
don't
I was
voice
gonna
it, right?
say, like-
Because sorry, you want to say something first?
I was thinking like it can be cyclical. The whole like woman have it burned by men, but I think those men burn those women because they've been burned
yeah,
by
by
women.
Yeah,
So,
so
like,
it's like like
Yeah.
a cycle. It's like we
Yeah.
hurt each other.
yeah,
And it's like a hurt. I
Yeah.
hurt you, you hurt me, and then we're never gonna get anywhere. Instead of being able to
Gotta
like
break the
work
cycle.
together and like know that we need each other.
So
right?
let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go
How
for
did you break your cycle?
My cycle. No, it's a fair question.
Oh my gosh, I'm uncomfortable for you.
Why?
I'm just joking.
It's a fair question.
I think we're just also used to you.
I know,
like
I
asking
know.
people.
I know we're so used to you. She's like asking.
I'm
me
the
all
one who likes to
questions.
ask people and poke people.
And then she's poking at
I'm
you.
giving
Right.
the people what they want.
Poking
We
at
asked
me.
for this.
Oh,
Come on,
no.
Miguel.
I actually am not sure.
Like, what did you do to get to where you're at? If that helps as a focus point.
Well, it's definitely had to do with the support I had around the people, who was like influenced or was around me. I think I don't know. There's a lot, like, there's definitely been like that part of me that was, how do I explain it? Yeah, you asked me a question that I haven't really thought about fully to put into words.
Okay, let me try to like break it down. Okay, what is a lie that you once believed about yourself that you've kind of like unraveled and turned a leaf on?
A lie that
Like if
I
you say you're
believed
going
about-
through like self-doubt, like you know, it's hard for
Yeah.
you to love yourself. Like what was the lie about not being able to like what was keeping you from being able to see like how much love you deserved?
I think I don't know what stops me. I think it's just myself. Like I think everyone, from my experience, is it's we're our own enemy. So I think at the end of the day, I would say that it's just like this basic like thing. Like I'm not just good enough, right? Like I've been burned, and those are examples. And like even if I had like 1,000 or 1,000,000 examples of like good stuff, it was like those small moments where I was burned stood out of, well, if I was good enough, I wouldn't have been burned, right? And so it didn't matter what people were doing. Like, of course it did, and I would take those moments and try to remind myself. But the second the ground started feeling shaky, right? Or like I was just uncomfortable, then it's just like, yeah, I'm not going to hold on to this ride, right? I'm gonna just step away or like even like put up a wall. Like it was immediately like once I got hurt, it was like, oh, wall. I'm just gonna do this. And yeah. I don't know. When it comes to how I broke out of it, I think
Like, what's something practical that you did? If it's, yeah. People want to know.
that's the hardest part. I think everyone looks for like, this crazy step-by-step process. I think there really isn't none. There really isn't. It's this leap you take where you just break that cycle, like that lie to yourself, right? You stop fighting yourself on this lie of I'm not good enough, and you allow yourself to put yourself in positions where you accept like, no, this person actually does care. Right. I think the one thing that's why it's very nuanced and dangerous is we also though put ourselves in positions sometimes where then we're like, oh, I'm going to make it work with this person. But then that person's also toxic. So it's like, how do you then know that's like the person who does care versus someone who's being toxic to you? And I think that comes down to also trusting the friends or the group, like the family and the loved ones around you who also are looking out for you. Because especially if they are like really there for you and they've never really steered you wrong, when they start being like, we're worried about you,
You have to believe that.
kind of, right? Like there could be like, oh, well, you don't understand this person and like we can talk about it, sure, but if it continues and continues, then you should then start at least having this moment where you take a step back and maybe evaluate a little bit. I think that's the thing, it's very nuanced and it's hard to say because I've also been that person where everyone was like, yeah, you need to stay away from him. I felt like at least that's how people were looking at me. And I'm like, I get it to some extent because obviously I wasn't perfect. But at the same time, I also wasn't like being like this villain trying to hurt people. I was also just trying to navigate myself. Right. And so knowing that my intentions were never meant to be harmful. Right. And so when people were seeing me as like this, like, oh, you need to get away from him. It was like, well, why? What did I do? Right. So that's what's hard. Like I've been on both ends of it. And so it's very like tricky. But at the same time, I guess the moral though is like people told them to stay away from me. And at the time, I guess I wasn't in a good position though to be, like you said, that security and to actually be that full person relationship. So even though I didn't want to be seen as the villain in the story and I wasn't fully a villain, I was also just not the right person. So,
I think we all victimize ourselves in relationships a lot.
like we're the victim?
Like we tend to like victimize ourselves. Like we self-sabotage.
That could be too, yeah.
Like a lot of us self-sabotage. Like, okay, I'm not ready to be in a relationship, therefore I'm just going to put up a wall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but sometimes it's done unconsciously. Like you
well,
don't do it
yeah,
That's the thing.
and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
you have to like break that, right? You have to like.
But I think like remember we were talking about attachment styles. Like that's a huge thing. That's you can break out of that for sure, but it takes a lot of work. Like you have to be very self-aware. Like,
That's
Yeah,
what
that's
it
when I-
was. Yeah.
like you have to
Yeah.
be very self-aware
Gross.
as like, okay, these are my red flags, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
These are my red flags.
Regular.
Like, I'm a little toxic, I'm a little jealous, I'm a little this. All right.
Is that
How
for
do
real?
I change that? Okay. I can be a little jealous sometimes because but that just is my insecurity, right? Like
That is, yeah.
like
that's fine.
I've been burnt by different people and I don't know. I just, you get insecure. Like for me, it's always been like if I see certain patterns of behaviors and then, those behaviors are like triggers to things that I've seen in the past, then I become a
shut down.
completely different person. I become insecure. I become anxious. I become like, why are you doing this? What this? And then all of a sudden I'm a crazy person. And I'm like, I'm not crazy. I'm just, you pushed a button that you shouldn't have pushed in the first place.
And it triggered
But
the
that was because
insecurities.
of what your behavior did. So I've seen your behavior in another person, and that behavior was terrible for me. And I remember crying myself to sleep at night, or just being really hurt. And it took me a long time. And then now I see the same behavior all over again. I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to go through the same thing. So I automatically go into this mode of like, I need to protect myself. How do I do that? I need to ask questions. I need to figure it out. Tell me the truth. You're telling me the truth? You're not telling me the truth. I know you're lying. And then it becomes like a pattern of all of these things. And then all of a sudden I'm toxic. I'm crazy. I'm like the one that's irrational.
Yeah.
No, clearly there's something going on.
Yeah.
And the fact, and the biggest thing for me is if you are lying to my face and I know you're lying, I'm like, oh my God, it becomes like, I become like another person. Like it just becomes like a really bad I become a really bad place. So, but that's all I've ever known. That's all I've ever been in relationships with men that have been toxic. That's just how the relationships that I've had. But that's because of my attachment style, like, you know, based on A, B, C, D. So like it comes from a place, right? Like, but you have to be self-aware as to like, you know, I'm older now and I'm like, okay, I can't keep going my life this way. Like I need to find someone. I can't keep, if these are the behaviors that I've seen, why do I keep going towards those men?
Yeah, why?
Why do I keep doing that to myself? I know they're going to hurt me. I know it's not going to be good for me. So why am I doing this to myself? Well, clearly there's something inside of me that I need to work on. So then you become self-aware and you know, like, okay, maybe I need to work on myself. Maybe I need to do this. And then there's a work that starts to happen internally. And then once you're ready to be like, okay, I'm okay now. Like, I think I'm ready. Then you start to look at things completely in a different light. And
like
then
specifically, you start learning what your triggers are.
You look at your triggers and you're like, okay, these are going to trigger me. So I can't go for men that do those things because I know it's going to end bad for me. So maybe I'm going to choose somebody who's different. Might not be the type of person that I've ever gone for before because they're too good or they're too this or I'm not really, but maybe that's what I need.
But there is a problem with that too, though, where you also are trying to pick a man that you think doesn't have that and you're trying to avoid specific behaviors because sometimes it's also not their behavior but the reaction to the behavior that you have as well that you need to.
Yeah, like it's a reaction too, right? So of course, that's why I say like I think it's a self-awareness. It's about the work that you got to put in for yourself before you can actually share it with anyone else.
Like the specifically just want to isolate like the catching missteps. I am guilty of that, right? They're like, I catch a misstep. It's like then I start picking at it. Like, what is the like why is that? Like there's a lie here and you're doing something now behind my back, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I relate to you on that. Where it was like this is a
know
problem.
You're lying to me.
Yeah, but the thing is that's on you and me more than it is on the other person. Because
I can
that's a
actually
trigger you need
from
to
the other side to a little bit of
Oh, it's the
like
Latinos.
something
here.
about me is that I can when I recollect things, they can like I
They're
don't
fuzzy.
They're
huh?
fuzzy.
Yeah. No, they're skewed.
They're like they can sometimes be a little bit like like I don't know how to explain it, but like
You rewrite the narrative in your favor.
well,
not even that. It's more like so.
like
For example, like we'll just use this.
see,
like,
even I
dynamic
can't fully
of this one.
recollect the time, but I feel like you can.
That's the yeah. So I have like pretty solid memory about not so like it's again it's also has its faults, but there'll be moments where I'll be like, oh, didn't you say this about when this happened? And then I'll catch like a thing where it was like, no, there was this other thing was there, or this happened instead, and I'll be like, so why'd you lie about that? And then because I'm like you like it's a basic question when I asked you last time or when you told me that story, why is it different now? And then she would like be like, oh, I forgot, and you know for normal it's like, oh, I forgot, oh yeah, no worries, but I'm like, how'd you forget? Like how did you forget such a
so
basic
you need to
logic?
Understand, like in your mind, you're like, there's got to be something else
that you're hiding.
But for me, I'm not hiding anything. I just
I know, but that comes from his place of what he's.
So I had to learn to let go of that
and trust.
because it's not like I need to avoid forgetful people because they're gonna drive me crazy.
And I totally get that because with me it's like the same idea. Like I said, there's certain things like you said, like that one. That's a huge one for me. I caught you in a lie, bro. You're done.
When you were talking about
it,
I literally
we're done. No, he at least trust. No, I'm like, no, we're not trusting you anymore. I know you're gonna lie again. And guess what happens when you lie to me? I'm gonna lose it again. And then we're gonna go through this whole argument all over again. Stop lying. Just tell me, why are you lying? And then I get mad. And then it just becomes, I go crazy. And it's like, why are you mad? It's not even that serious. It is serious.
It is
like
serious.
You're lying to me.
not that serious sometimes.
But it's not. That's the thing.
But
it's
it can be. But
the
can
person
be.
is serious.
It can
because
be.
in that person's mind, it's like you're lying about something so minuscule. So small.
That's the thing.
But it's on us. That's
but
the
it's
point.
on us,
It's still
right?
on us.
Like the person's probably like, bro, I didn't even remember.
Exactly. That's what I
They
mean.
actually might not mean anything by it. And in your mind, I'm already playing like
what
5 different scenarios as to why you lied and what happened.
And they're
I'm
all
like
negative.
going crazy.
They're all
and they're all
negative,
bad. And it's like really bad scenarios.
But what if you actually did lie and you remember it and you just don't want to take responsibility for the lie? You know,
But
sometimes it can be like a fuzzy, but like, what if it's really actually a lie?
Like it's a skewed, or maybe you just don't want to say it because you're like, I know he's gonna get mad.
Yeah, like
so like
put this on
I'm not
Nicole's
gonna.
head.
I know
but
he's
like,
gonna get
no,
mad
no, no,
about
but
this, so
like-
I'm just gonna not say it because maybe he'll never find out. That's worse.
But
Be
like-
just say it. Just say
That's
it.
not me. That's
No, I know. But so
know, like-
Louise is trying to say though.
But like I've
on.
had situations where I was lied to and it was like, oh, I did it to protect your feelings. I hate that. Like, tell me the truth.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's personalities then. So I agree with that. Like if there are people who are avoidant of conflict, so they lie, little white lies. It's like that.
It might be like
That's-
little, but like for me, it might not be little.
No, exactly.
It's a breach of like my trust. Like I don't know how to believe what you say going forward now.
Yeah.
Right.
So that you're gonna, but that's the thing. People aren't gonna hide. Like no one's trying to hide these things, right? So if I had, when you realize that, then it's either you want to work with that person then to
Yeah.
help them out of that white lie.
like you have to like
yeah.
hold someone accountable, but like at the same time, you can't always just say, oh, I didn't remember. Like there also has to be an accountability on the other side if you actually lied.
No, and that's the
Right?
thing though. Like I think it just goes both. Like for example, like it's a partnership, right? So like
Yeah.
if you know that your partner has that trigger,
Don't lie
you
to
know, you know that they're like, okay, I'm gonna tell you this. Like to me, it's super simple. It's like it's honesty, right? Like it's like, and I know it's impossible sometimes because
Yeah.
some people, not everyone's 100% honest. Like some things you probably are like, they don't need to know that. That's
there's
like, so
so
tiny.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Like,
there's also a
that's-
difference between like, oh, I
Like a white
just
lie, you
forgot
know?
to tell you.
That's different. It's
Yeah.
it's a different thing. It's like say you actually lied and you intended to lie, but it was a small lie. But to the other person, it wasn't a big lie. Where do you go from there?
Oh no, I never lie.
Well, okay, if that was a circumstance that actually happened though, and then that was the
When-
situation. If it happened,
Oh,
I'm not saying it happened. I'm saying that actually occurs in any kind of relationship, and it obviously gets caught because that's the only way you'll end up talking about it.
No, I don't agree with that.
becomes a situation where then are you not just addressing it, saying, I don't like my personality is like I actually need you to be straight up with me because it makes me more comfortable and more trusting of you, even if
Yeah.
it's something you think will make me more uncomfortable if
Yeah, or
you
upset
told me.
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
But you
who
still
wouldn't
shouldn't lie.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
but the
I'm-
point is by having that conversation, now the trust continues and now this person knows to
Yeah.
now do this forward. So
Yeah.
No, but there's like certain things, for example, like your partner doesn't like something and you're like, I want to do it anyway.
like what? No, I don't agree with
No,
that.
like I don't know. I can't.
I don't
want to
bring up examples. So
I
I'm not-
don't know any examples. I just know that like sometimes like maybe like somebody who likes to shop a lot,
And then
right?
they buy
and then
stuff.
you're a boy and you buy stuff, or you're like, oh, and
Yeah.
then you one thing, yeah, I'll give you an example. You bought something and it is like $200, and then your partner's like, oh, so how much was that? And you know they have a thing with budgeting and like money and all this stuff, and you're like, how much was it? And you're like, it was $150. That's a small lie, but you're lying. And then they look at it, they're like, but that wasn't $150. This actually said it was $200.
Yeah.
Like, why would you lie about that? Like, do you know what I
You
mean?
have
Like,
to take accountability for
it's
lies.
accountability.
Like that.
I don't think you should lie though.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
you
that's the
shouldn't
thing.
lie.
You
lie.
shouldn't lie.
Like, yeah,
but like,
yeah.
if it's happened, you can't just say, "Oh, it was the other person's reaction that was bad." You also
No,
have
you
to
gotta
take
take accountability. Like my sister does all the time. She'd be like, "Oh yeah, this gift is this," and I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Okay, like I'll give you my part." And then after at the end, she's like, "Actually, it costs more than that." I'm like, "Why didn't you say so? Like I would have sent you more. Why would you lie about something so small?" But because there's an issue in her that she doesn't feel comfortable because she feels like people are going to judge her. So when you're with a partner, you feel like maybe they're not happy with you spending all this money, or they're not happy with you doing all these things. And then you're like, nah, but I want to do it because I like it. And then you do it. And then it's like, why would you lie to me about that? Like, it's a partnership, right? Like, so I don't know. I think in that sense, like, those are small things. Those are very tiny, small white lies that maybe they're not a big deal. But for somebody like me,
yeah,
it's a huge deal. I'd be like, who are you buying stuff for?
well,
What are you
because I was
doing?
gonna
Like,
say the thing
like,
is
what are you-
there are people like there are relationships I've seen where they have no insecurities or they're very trusting. There's no real like issues that they kind of obviously they have issues in the relationship. Of course, everyone should have or not should will have. But the point is little white lies. They're like, oh yeah, we don't really say that. Like she doesn't really care. My wife doesn't really care, or my husband doesn't really bother me. Like so, they're innocent. There's nothing there, and that's how they operate. It's almost like
But they're just trusting then.
yeah, they're like I suppose because I've seen relationships where they're basically very two independent people, but they really do value the relationship and they trust the relationship, and there's not any like doubt that exists there. Where it's like, yeah, I'm hanging out with you, and she doesn't really fully know. She thinks I'm at work right now or something. But okay, maybe that's a bad example. But the point is
That's
like
a bad example.
that might be a bad. I don't know what like these kind of lie examples are, but the idea
like,
is
I
that
told her I was gonna be here, but I'm not there. I'm
yeah,
actually with my friends.
there are certain relationships
Ooh,
that
that's
function
bad.
where things can just kind of be more like wishy-washy a little bit,
Yeah,
but it's
it works
Yeah.
for people who are like, I think people
I
that
think
are
you
like
ju-
that
you
are
have
just
to
like
know
that's
the
their
other person.
personality.
But you have
Exactly.
to know
they
the other
are.
person. You can't
I
lie
can't do
about
that.
things that they think that like, or like, what if they think it's a small white lie, but it's actually not.
I think part of it could also be
Communication.
like the person
Yeah.
had a previous relationship where like everything
Was a lie.
no like everything was wrong actually.
what?
Yeah.
So now they feel like they have to lie because if they don't, then they're gonna get into trouble, like
Oh,
something
okay,
like that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, they tried to being honest, and then the honesty always backfired.
yeah, and then the
Yeah.
honesty like got them burned.
Yeah.
So they're like, how can you
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
done that?
it's a tough one, right? Because you're dealing with another person, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's so important to be so self-aware of yourself and working on those things. Like I always say this, and I've said it to my sister. I'm like, you have to work on who you want to be for that person. Like,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
want to be that person for yourself. And then when that time comes and you're both ready to be that too for each other, and you're both ready, then it'll happen. It just will, or maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But you just have to learn. Like for me, like I think this is the first time in a really long time that I feel like I'm okay to put myself in a position where I can be vulnerable. I haven't been okay with that for 5-6+ years. And with my faith, I was able to just kind of secure myself under there. It was like a blanket that you're like, I'm cozy in here. This is good for me. Like, I don't need anything else. And then, things happen. And then now it's like, no, I don't need anyone because I rather just deal with I have way too much nonsense in myself that I can't deal with anybody else's nonsense. I don't have the patience. I don't have the time. And I really just don't want to put myself in that position anymore. So then now I'm actually probably at a place where I'm doing the work. Like I'm working towards understanding where those wounds come from, understanding myself. So I had to do the work for me to be saying, okay, I'm ready. Like I think I'm okay to actually put my foot on the water a little bit. I'm surprised I haven't taken it. I'm like, screw this. I'm not doing this. But
there wasn't any like crazy like momentous moment that
No.
occurred. It was literally
just-
like you
and I also think
you
it's
decided
growth.
you
I think it's
decided to
also
just be
growth
like,
as a
I'm
person.
doing this.
I think it's
Yeah.
as age too. As you get older, you start to realize like, what do you want?
Yeah.
I'm like maybe I'll just end up alone for the rest of my life. Who knows? But I'm okay with that too. If that happens, I'm like I'm fine with it. Like I think I should be okay with that because I have to live with myself. And so
Kind of sorry, because I want to go back though to what Lou's thing was about men not being ready to be, I guess, the man in the house or be like provide that security. Huh? No, because I'm very interested in that because like
it's true though.
I gotta defend against three women against men.
Is it
All
not
men
true? Okay,
on my shoulders.
Men in
Here
the
we go.
GTA.
Why'd I bring it back?
No. Show me a man.
Against men.
I don't have anything against men, but like,
Okay.
okay, show me a man who's not married or in a relationship that can provide to me for things like those things right now.
The secure.
You mean like a single man?
Yeah,
who
like
wants
where
to
are
be
they
in a
at?
relationship?
Yeah, like where are they at?
They're in a relationship.
I think
That's what she's saying. Like
That's what I mean. That's
men-
not in a relationship or married.
Yeah.
That's ready for that. Where are they?
Nowhere to be found.
Name me one person that you know. Probably doesn't.
Well, one, I'm not gonna actually do that because then you're just outing a
Yeah.
person. Like, that's really strange. Like
Oh,
this guy, his number is this, and anyone who wanna,
This one
Okay,
find out.
don't,
Yeah.
okay, can you think, like, you don't have to name them. Can you think of 5 people off the top of your head? Because I can think of 5 women that I'm like, these people are ready for relationships.
But then I need 5 single men who are ready to.
That's what I mean. Where are they? Because I can name 5 single women in my head who are ready, who would be like, if I met a man who is ready to get married and be in a relationship, I would date them and go for it. 5
I
women
think
in
I
the
know
GTA.
one.
I know at least like 2.
2. Okay.
Does that mean the circle's small or like it just
No,
doesn't
it
exist?
also just means that a lot of my friends have started to get married or are married now and or are in relationships already, and then my circle of group of guys like that I know well enough, I'm like not, I guess, aren't the biggest pool. So
Yeah, can you name 5 men?
I don't really. I also can't name 5 women, to be honest. I can name 2.
I was thinking you can name 5 women, so I'm like, okay, that's
Like,
kind of
what are the 5
interesting.
women?
Yeah, but you also, one, remember, there's more women in the world than men. And 2, I think that's a statistic. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking
Yeah.
out of my ass. But anyways.
I think
heard
you're right
that.
though. I
I
think
think
you're right.
there's more women than men, but anyways, who cares? What I'm trying to say is I also believe that men mature faster.
Men?
Women
Women
mature
mature
faster than
faster.
men. So women, by the age of 30, they're like, I need to
Biological
get
clock.
married, have kids. I got a biological clock. Come on, let's move it along. Men are like, I think it's still okay.
Yeah, and I will blame culture for that. That's kind
Yeah.
of what I wanted to bring up, right? Like I was kind of asking, okay, women also are contributing to that with the culture shift with how women are approaching things, which, like you said, isn't giving men the push to have a standard. But consider just even, and this is for men and women, dating apps. Like dating apps literally allow you to always kind of like shop for what's better.
True.
Right? So it's like, why, like you said, why, well, not like you said, but like, why buy and like a down payment on a home or like really stick to one house when you know there's like going to be a new development or there could be a new development over here or, you know, and you're like, oh, well, I would love to see what those homes are going to look like. So maybe I'm not ready to commit. Right. I think that one of the things that I
Or
actually,
just buy a house that's already done and put a, you know.
well, one of the things that really,
Women are
for
houses now.
me, that was hard in like, I remember in my 20s was like, I was like really always like, oh yeah, what if I find this person? Or like these are the traits that I like. If the list of traits were like, oh, these are all the things I would really like, and then I met someone, it's like, well, ooh, they check mark like what 50% of them. So it's like, do I wait? Like, oh, what if I found
Something
someone
better
better?
can come
Right?
up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something could actually hit better. Oh, I would be happier if this happened. Right? Or like to your point, like I'm looking for these kinds of traits. So this man has 3 out of the 4, and you're like, oh, what if I find the man who has the 4th
Yeah,
one?
but women have that too.
Yeah.
Women have list of things that they want.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you
That's-
find you're looking for a man,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah,
existing
that's what
both
he
ways.
said.
That's why you're
He was
also
talking
not
from the woman's
able to find
perspective.
relationships.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that I always wanted to point out to you though is in these dating apps, my understanding is also, aren't there that women literally get a lot more matches than men do? So to your question, it's like it's actually false. No, like that. There's a lot of men looking to find. Oh, well, I guess you can say they're looking to hook up, but the idea is that there are a lot of more men trying to find matches and struggling to find those connections, while women are getting the pick, like you know, and yet they're not satisfied.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends. Like, you can get a million picks, but if you don't feel a connection with any of them, like, I'm not going to settle, right?
But what is a connection to you? Like,
Yeah.
what does it have to be like? What does it have to look like for you to connect?
Like, what if that's
what is
the
it
thing?
that
You're
they have
not.
to have?
You have your options so
Oh,
many
okay.
that the check marks are.
Here's the number one thing. You just have to hold a conversation with me. Number one. Number two, like, don't let this conversation drag on a week, 2 weeks, and you don't even want to meet yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna do with that? Like, I'll talk to 10 guys in 1 week and none of them want to meet up just to like get it like, you know what I mean? Like, man, just take forever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can you just know what you want? And like initiate it. Like, stop waiting for me. Like, I'm just like, I'll be there and be like, hey, you're gonna get like 3 chances. I'm gonna say like, why don't we meet up? Like, I'd love to meet you. And like, you have to do the rest of the work. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, you're doing all the work. Like, I'm gonna give you the chance to do the work, but you have to do the work.
What work though? Like the
Like-
talk,
like-
the
like-
meeting.
Put the
Like,
initiative
engage.
there.
Yeah,
The
engage. Like, put
initiative,
like
engaging.
initiate. Like, let's meet. This is like like, what do you want to do? Like, you know, start that conversation and not just like leave it just like, oh, I just want to get to know you. Like,
So a question though. So going back to the culture shift though, if men are like, no, women are equal partners here. This is no courtship kind of old school life
this
thing.
is what I mean. I give you opportunity. Like, I personally
Yeah.
will give a man, and if I want to like get to know them, I
Yeah.
will give them the opportunity to ask me out.
As in
Like, hey, like, why don't we meet up? Or like,
Oh,
talk-
you'll say it.
I'll
Okay,
say
so
it.
you'll
Like,
instigate.
I've done
and-
that. Like, I
okay.
literally told the guys, like, why don't we like text? Like, I don't check this app. Like,
Yeah. Gotcha.
you know, like, I will do that, but like, you got to do the rest of the work. Like,
That's
I can't
fair.
be the one doing most of the work here.
Yeah.
And that immediately is just like, hey, if this is going to be the rest of the
Yeah.
relationship, I don't want this now.
Which is not even that much work. Like you're not.
It really
You're saying
isn't.
work, which made it seem like you want them to do everything, but it's literally saying, yeah, here's my number.
I think it's also like I was listening to the psychologist and she was saying how like sometimes like now in the culture that we live in today, men are putting their attention and their time in women that, not that they don't have value, but they're fleeting. They're very like quick to give you things
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're everything. It's all about the looks. It's all about that, right? And then they're putting all their time and effort in those women when really the women that they want to actually, and they are expecting to get the wife, the kids, and all that stuff from those women that they won't
They
give you
won't
that,
provide that, yeah.
and then they're not putting the effort in the women that actually do
yeah.
have the qualities to be a wife, have the kids, and spend their time and their effort in those women because of the way society has made things now. Because everything is so quick, everything is fast, everything is like you said, there's so many options, and everything is about like, okay, we're gonna meet up, we're gonna hook up, like, or like, oh, I want these young girls. They're like they just want guys who are gonna provide for them and give them all of these things, and
They want sugar daddies.
and they want things that are fast and easy, and it's like
They want sugar daddy.
they want sugar daddies. No, like girls nowadays, the young girls, like I don't know what's happening, man, but like it's just like they just don't. Things have to be easy for them, and there's a little struggle, and they're like
They
upset,
tapped
and
out.
everything's like, oh my god, like why can't I get, bro, chill. Like when I was your age, I was like working so hard, like I was like doing minimum wage, and I wasn't crying about it. It was just the way it was. Now it's like,
If I don't feel like, I'll
oh
quit
my
my
god, I
job.
don't have like 50K in my account. Like what? Where? Like I've heard
50K? I've never seen 50K in my account.
there's girls that think that by the age of 30, a man should be making 120K a year. Are you good?
Oh yeah, I've seen those. I've seen
in
those.
what world do you live in? Like you're so like out of touch with reality, man. And I think it's just because social media has
Yeah.
made everything so feasible, so. And
You've
that's
seen
what I'm
those
saying.
reels where they do the like, oh, what do you want? How high? Or how tall? 6'5",
Yes.
and then this is okay. Well, based off the population of men and the population of how much income they make, you're looking at the top 0.2%. And
That's
why
what
do you
it
think they're
feels
gonna be
like.
interested in you? Like,
Yeah, exactly. And those men have so many options. They're gonna pick. They have options because they have all of these things, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Doesn't
Like
that
this,
kind of then answer? Sorry, quickly. Then doesn't that kind of point out though that the standard is actually really high?
It depends. It depends what
I
standards
think
you're
for
talking
both
about.
of them, actually, I think both right now, both men and women are
Well,
created
but like you know
super
what?
high
To be
standards
fair,
for
men
each
should
other.
have high standards. Like I have had a coworker who like was literally like, I can't date. Like he's 22,
Yeah.
and he's like, okay, I can't with women girls my age. Like they're so stupid. Like they just film these TikToks about how they want men who are like this, and then like literally the girl next to me was just like, that's not a real woman you want to be in a relationship with. And I was like, I love you. Like why don't you? I'm joking.
real, like exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like they're going like, first of all, girls that are like really young,
Yeah.
they're not fully like aware how the world works, because it's like you're like
We can
still
say
in
this
school. I
speaking
can say
from
this now because
experience.
I was 21 when I was young, and I was like you know, like everything, it was whatever, right? But like now I'm like older, and I'm like, what? Like what world do you live in? Like
Yeah.
is this real? Like is this real life?
Yeah.
But that's the problem, right? There's that's anyways what the psychologist was saying,
Yeah.
and she was literally saying, it's like men are putting their time and effort into girls,
Yeah.
not women,
Yeah.
girls. We're not gonna be able to give you what you want.
Yeah.
And you're gonna expect them to, but then you're not gonna get that, and then you're gonna get played, and you're gonna end up with your heart broken, and then
Yeah.
guess what? The one that's gonna pay for it is gonna be the one that you actually had to put your time and
Yeah.
effort in. So it's really unfortunate, and that's like
Yeah.
that's society's fault. Like it's just the way, and I blame it on feminism. I'm gonna say it. I blame it on it. I totally do, and I'm gonna put my foot down on that one. I blame it on that, and I'm not saying that
Women
shouldn't
get back
have-
in the kitchen. Is that what?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Hey, that's
either.
not
I'm not
That's what
saying
I'm
that either.
confirming. I'm just
I'm
confirming.
saying
No.
that women, it's gone from like, it's gone way out of hand.
Let's
Yeah.
just say
It's gone way out
Let's
of
just say
hand.
the idea of feminism has been so distorted that it's not
It's
feminism
not
anymore.
feminism anymore. It's,
It's
just
not.
Like it's not.
It's not about
feminism.
equality
no,
anymore.
it's
Yeah.
not about equality. It's about we're better, and
Yeah.
we are, you know, we own the world pretty much.
Yeah.
And I deserve, because I'm a woman, I deserve to have all of these things.
Yeah. But like here's the thing about like standards for both men and women. Like it's not just about having high standards, it's about having the right ones.
Yeah.
So like
That's true.
so like you can say like, oh, women want this. I'm like, okay, how much of that is reasonable? How much of that is just like you just want a good guy? And like if you're not able to provide that, or you're not able to see that you can be that version that like women are looking for, like then that's on you to step up to become that version, right? Like if men are looking for women who can like take care, provide in a different way, like emotionally support them, like what's keeping women from doing that? Like you don't want to step up either. Like women don't want to work on ourselves either, just to become like the women that men are looking for. Like that becomes the imbalance where now it's just like we expect men to do all the work in the relationship and all the growth, and women don't do that, but like we'll still have high expectations. But when it comes down to it, like it's not a competition both of you have to align on like what it is you're looking for. So like we can say, oh, men like have this, women like this. Like no, it's both.
It's both, yeah.
Like we need to stop looking at it like, oh, men are doing this more, women are doing this more. Like it's like it's so messed up now that it's just like both of like we're never gonna get anywhere by competing.
It's like a fight.
And comparing.
Like a fight. Who's better? I'm better because
Yeah.
you give me babies. You're better because you're a
Like
man.
you can't generalize like these things to like men and women. Like every single person.
I
needs
don't
to
know.
learn.
I'm just saying it was just, I don't know. It was a
Yeah.
joke, but it's true though. I totally get that. Like how sad is it that like you got to talk to a good guy and you're like shocked. You're like, whoa, no, for real. Oh my god,
You can actually keep up a conversation with me.
what? It's like he's a normal person. I'm like, he's normal. Oh my god, that is.
But that's the other thing. Like I find that
Right.
I find like, do you find?
I
do you-
didn't
What?
think they existed.
like if you meet like a random single
Yeah.
woman, like whatever, like, and this is just not in like a flirting relationship way, but like just talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it an easy conversation? Like, can you talk to women like just if you like meet them like somewhere, like if, like at the airport?
Yeah,
So you meet someone,
Yeah.
like a person who's traveling, and you're just talking to women, like you can have a conversation with them, and it's fine, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Sometimes I meet men, and I'm like, why are you so weird, and you can't have a conversation with me?
Really? Like what?
Yo, there are weird people out there, man.
There's weird people out there.
Give me an example.
I
Sorry,
know, I'm a
guess I
little
don't-
confused.
No,
I
I
can't.
can't. I really, do
Weird
you know what I'm talking
examples,
about?
No, I actually don't.
Oh, okay. Do you know what I'm talking about?
But what?
I was just
About
vibing
men
on a
having weird
guy full of
conversations.
No,
men,
I
and
think
it
she's
was
just saying
fine.
like they just can't. I don't know if their attention span is short or what,
But they
but,
don't know how to
like
hold
they
it.
Oh,
just
they're trying to
can't
play
speak.
cool. Like
No, they just
Yeah.
don't know what to say.
Yeah,
like they don't
men-
know how to talk.
Yeah.
They'll be like they'll say weird things, and you're like,
Can you just have a normal
can
conversation?
you just say hi? How are you? We're good. Oh, what's your favorite? Like, what do you like? Like, what are you looking for? Nobody knows how to talk, and I think
Yeah, no one knows how to talk anymore.
I think it's COVID too. Like a piece was that
Bro.
social anxiety. People don't know
Oh,
what the
yeah.
heck they're doing, and I think it's just like a hookup culture too.
Yeah.
really?
I remember. Listen,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. When I first started with Tinder back in the day,
She said
it was actually like a dating site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then one time I remember I was gonna download it, and then my friend's like, no, don't download that. That's
hookup
like
site now.
that's just hookups. Like people just go there literally. And so I was like, oh, let me see.
Purely physical.
I was like, I just want to see. I went on the site and I'm like, whoa, buddy, relax. I was like, that's not what I'm looking for. But they're right. This thing is crazy. These people are actually on this just literally to be like, do you want to come over?
I guess then it goes back to again culture, fast, easy culture, right?
And that's what but this is the thing. The dating apps are like that.
Yeah.
Like you'd be surprised how many like what's it called, profiles.
Profile.
They're like don't know if they want kids or something casual or something. I'm like, okay, so why are we
Yeah.
here? Why are we here?
I
Are we
can't
here
deal.
just to hook up? Because that's messed up.
Like
man.
I've given up on because like I see profiles. I'm like, there's nothing on here. I don't know
so
anything
then what's
about
the
you.
solution though? Because clearly, like you're not moving away from dating apps, right? Especially
No, I am.
with the way,
the way things are moving.
but the way the
yeah.
world is, though, it's really
Yeah, it's
hard,
hard.
to
You
meet
can't-
somebody, right? You can't
yeah.
go up to someone in a supermarket anymore because that's weird.
That's weird.
That's so weird.
I'm gonna
I
go to a
was like,
supermarket.
why are you talking to
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
I'm gonna go to a supermarket.
Right? You'd be weirded out. Like,
be like-
I'm just trying to get milk. I'm like,
I just with the milk.
yeah,
I just want to buy a cow.
yeah, like,
Okay,
so
here's
casual,
one. Okay, if we want like one practical thing that men can do,
Kill me.
like be more open and vulnerable in your profile. Like let me actually see who you are. Don't just say like, oh, I love pizza, because that's like 90% of the profiles I see. It's like
They all love
what's something
pizza.
people know about you? Like, oh, I love pizza.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Maybe it's like a
everybody loves pizza. Like what?
well, that's the thing.
I love
You're
pizza.
talking
For
about.
what?
You're talking about like this has never been done in history, right? Where men and women get to put up a profile of themselves and highlight things about them that's supposed
It's
to
really
attract
random. It's
the opposite
awkward,
sex.
bro.
Yeah.
So men are doing it based off like, well, what would other men
Do.
Not? It's not what other men would do. It's
What
more
would
like
girls want to see?
because like as a kid, like yeah, what would girls want to see? I want to impress you, so I'm gonna show you what we think is impressive to you as a man, right? So
Yeah.
it's like
Pizza.
that.
The first thing you see, 6'1", 6. I'm glad you're tall.
Pizza. Like
But hey, women, the height thing is a thing for women.
Yeah.
Most women, anyways. Like you see things that you're like, okay, interesting. But like most of them, like some of them are like. Casual
I think
stuff.
one thing I want to see is just like I want to know that you know what you want. Like if you're here and you don't know what you want, like, and I have to like pull teeth to like figure out like, okay, what are you looking for? Like I just want to see that you're showing like I want this, and like don't waste my time.
Like, so what
essentially.
exactly though? You want someone in the conversation to be like, yeah, I'm here for like
Just to
marriage.
ask, like, even to just ask, like, hey, what are you looking for in a relationship?
Yeah.
Like, that is, like, if you ask me that within the first couple, like, messages we send to each other, immediately green flag.
So no, but that's
Green flag.
immediately like there are other women that 100% have caused that to never be a question to ask because that's a red
Yeah.
flag. It's like,
Yes,
whoa,
but
why are
that's
you
another
getting
thing
so
too.
upfront,
But
so
it's
serious?
not.
Why are
But
you getting
it's
so
not.
serious?
But that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. You're
But
trying to
it's
have some
not.
But that's the thing.
No,
understanding.
but then
You're
you're
talking
just-
about
you're weeding
fighting
out.
other women
You're
though. You're
weeding-
talking about fighting other women who have also created that stigma, like because even
But
like,
other women
think of-
also need to know what they want. If a man asks me what I want, like, I will
No,
be like, that's a
Listen,
green
this is
flag.
what I say. I'm like, okay, what do you want? I don't want to waste my time. Don't
Yeah.
waste my time. My time is precious. I'm
Yeah.
telling
But-
you.
Okay, but think
do
about show.
not
Okay,
waste
I know shows like not the best example, but it also speaks to culture, right? And so, for example, there literally the show goes, oh, there's the love romantic guy who just wants to be like serious in relationships. So How I Met Your Mother is a perfect example, right? Ted Mosby is like, I love women. Literally says I love you within the first date, and then everyone's like,
Yeah, but that's
You
different.
creep.
That's
That's
different.
different.
I'm
Oh.
asking,
That's
that is different.
different.
We're talking about being like, this is what I
Intentional.
want. I want in a relationship that's serious, committed, and then eventually leads to marriage and kids. That is, to me, if a man says that to me, I'm like, yo, cool, man. We're looking for the same things. If you go about like, I'm not really sure. I'm like, sorry, buddy. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't want to waste my time. Like, don't waste my
like,
time.
don't.
okay, but okay, so this is where I'm gonna
I'm at
argue
an
for
age
men.
where I don't have time to waste.
I
bro.
hear you, but I'm arguing
Don't
for
waste
men.
it.
Men
It's precious to me.
are faster at flipping that switch. What I mean by that is men will fall in love faster. Like,
Yeah.
because they have things that are, like, they're simple in that, like, oh yeah, you are
not as
there, you're
complex as we
caring
are.
for nice. They're just not
complex.
as careful about like jumping over on falling on the deep end, like just jumping over the
Yeah.
edge. Like they're
Men
willing
are not.
they're
Unless
willing
they've
to
been burnt though.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. But for most, it's just like I'm willing to jump in, especially if this woman hits those like check marks on those boxes and they're comforting and they're loving and they're sweet to me. I'll give you the world. Like it's like boom, I'll be there for you,
Yeah.
right? And so that's the thing though. But women will be like, "Whoa, now you're going too fast for me." So it's like this weird game of like, "Oh, but you're going too fast for me now. Now I gotta slow down." So now men have learned to play it cool. Like I gotta play it cool. I gotta play it chill.
Yeah, but I think that also.
I don't want to get hurt because
Yeah,
I don't want to
but
fall
that
in
also
deep.
you have to
And then the
gauge
girl's
it.
not gonna love me though.
But you
Yeah.
have to gauge it.
You have to
because
gauge
if
it.
you have a woman that literally says, "So what do you want?" She's asking you.
If she's
Yeah.
asking
and
you,
you're
you
saying,
should
and you're
have an
saying,
answer.
"Well, I'm not sure." I'd be like, "Okay, see ya, next."
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
don't have
that's
a
fair.
problem. Listen, I have.
But that's
like I said, this is the first time I'm okay with like putting myself out there. But even in the past, like I've said this to a man before, I was like, I don't have time to waste. Don't waste my time. I'm like, my time is important to me.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of time either. Don't waste it. You don't want the same things I want. Let's just
But
call
it's
it.
still
just
you're
let's call
taking
it a day. We
leadership
call it a
then.
day.
Yeah.
You're taking lead, right?
Yeah.
It's okay for
I'm
you
like,
to take
call
the
it a day.
It's
Like,
okay
let's
for a
call
woman
it
to
what it
take
is,
the
bro.
lead.
You
Take the
wanna
lead.
Take the
you
lead.
wanna
Yeah.
hook up, you
Woman.
wanna do whatever, do that with other
okay.
ones. Don't do that with me because
Yeah.
I'm not that person. I'm the wrong person to do that. You wanna do that, go ahead. There's a lot of girls probably that wanna do that. Like, don't
Yeah.
talk to me. And then you come to an understanding. It's like,
Yeah.
this is what I want. And people are like, oh, but you're too straight. That's too forward. I'm like, I don't care if it's too
But
forward.
aren't there certain apps that have that?
I'm like,
where
it's
like
not-
the
there's
dating
certain
app is like
apps.
we're being serious. Like this is the serious dating app.
Yeah.
We're looking
There
for
is
serious
certain ones that
relationships.
you
Yeah.
know you go there just to get married
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, so why aren't you just on those and then finding the
Because
people who
even
are
then-
straightforward?
Even that now is
Even
like
then, some
it's
some
creeping
don't.
in there, man. Like
Yeah.
nobody wants to commit.
No.
I'm telling you guys, I had a great conversation with this bouncer at the club on Saturday. It's fun. He was like this older gentleman, and I was just like having a great heart to heart with
Yeah.
him because I was like, man, like what's happening? What's happening with men?
Yeah.
They don't want commitments. Like what's happening?
And he was like, yeah.
He was like, it's true. He's like, it's not like it used to be, you know? And I'm like, I know. I'm like, I grew up in the wrong time. I'm like, I would have been with kids by now. He's
Like, I think
you
I-
seem like a good girl.
Like- I
You
feel
seem like a good woman. Don't settle. I'm like, I won't.
I feel
So
like it has
Redleaf,
to get
yeah.
to this point where men stop thinking about like, oh, stop feeling deterred by how women might hurt them, and just like be strong in the fact that they're like, I want a good woman, and I want and I know what I want. Like to stop thinking it's like, oh, what if they're like not serious? What if like I'm too serious or they think it's wrong? I'm like, then you're not meant to be with them. then don't be with them. If they think you're being too serious, then don't be with them.
But it's also because the society that we live in, everybody's so cuddled. Like nobody wants to get hurt. Everything's like, oh, poor me, I hurt my finger. It hurts.
And at the same time, like if you go into a conversation and you say this is what I want, but then the woman goes like this is what I want too, but then you're like, so why aren't we working out? And she says like, I just don't feel a connection with you. Like I think you're nice. Like just let that be. Don't make it so like, okay, this woman said she wanted all these things, but now she's like, now she doesn't want to be with me. It's just like there's also the side that like you have to like feel a connection and be attracted to someone. Sometimes like just wanting the same things doesn't mean it will work out. But you have to be intentional about wanting the same things.
And you have to be able to, like, honestly, relationships are about vulnerability. Like, you both have to be vulnerable, and people don't want that because, like I said, nobody wants to get hurt. It's painful. It sucks. I get it. It's really shitty.
So, quick thing though, when you're doing your, let's say, assessments of men, right? So you're talking to a doesn't matter. Okay. It doesn't matter to me. When you're talking to a guy, what kind of assessments are going through your head? Because if I don't know. I can't speak for all men. I think it really depends on the person. But I would think that men tend to look for the check marks on the boxes more than they're looking for the red flags. So,
that's fair.
They may not even be being like attentive to those things as much. So maybe that's why when they see someone's like, oh, you think you won't have the same goals as me, but like that's a check mark. So it's like immediately kind of more interested. So when they get that kind of shut down from the girl who's like, oh, I'm not feeling the conversation, it's like, I don't get it. Like I'm the guy you're looking for. I have the check marks you want. What do you?
Differently and then they're just like, women don't want me and blah blah blah.
Like, so what is it that? How's it go? How's the process?
Like it's for me, it's just like the conversation has to be there. Like if you want the same things as me, but like we're not vibing in conversation, like I can't force myself to like you. Do you know what I mean? It's like I also just have to like you. Yeah. Like as a person, and like it doesn't mean you're a bad person or not a good person. I also have. You just
want the energy.
Yeah, like I need an energy that can balance mine, and if I don't feel that, I don't want to pursue that. Like even if they could want the same things, they'll be like, yeah, but like we're gonna sit in a house like wanting the same things, but I'm not gonna like you. I don't want to watch movies with you. Like I don't want to be in a bed with you. Like that's gonna be, you know what I mean? Like I think about like, is this person someone I want to do these things with?
But how long? What's the process like? How long is the evaluation?
I will definitely like listen. If you first of all, if we ever get to a date, then like I can evaluate there, because I'm like, maybe you just suck at texting. Let me evaluate you in person. If we're good in person, I'm like, okay. If you go and say like, let's meet again, then I'm like, okay, we'll keep going. And we'll evaluate that way. But like if it gets to a point where I'm just like, I'm not feeling it, then like
that's fair. The point is you just want to have opportunities to actually get to know people outside of just behind the screen.
And like if you're not getting those opportunities, that because men don't know how to like know what they want or speak up or initiate, you're never gonna get there.
Yeah, because it really I will admit, like there is nothing better than actually having human interaction. Right? That's the only way you're gonna know how you vibe with this person. And I guess if that's the case, and guys are really not. They're not doing their opening job. That door, trying to
just vibe with red flags.
Like I'm not trying to like. I'm sorry.
I'm always like, yo, this is great, and it's like red flags everywhere. I'm like, why?
This is why you have friends.
Hey, you're working on it though. You're working.
I'm working on it.
Exactly. This is why you have.
So it's fine.
Always it's like a red flag. I'm like right there. I'm like, yep, there it is. I'm going that way.
She's a bull.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and then I want to hit them because bulls hit people.
She needs a really good matador to like.
I do, but it has a green flag. Might not be a
green flag. I just not attractive.
So there's a default to that one.
She's colorblind. She's not sure if it's green or red.
I don't know at this point. I'm joking. I'm working on it, man. I really am trying. Like I am trying. At least I'm trying. You know.
Do you think you have any like walls or flags that also are hindering you from connecting, or do you that you've addressed? I guess, or haven't addressed?
A little bit. I think I give up too early, but also like I give up too early, but also when I do give it the chances, it's just like when you get discouraged, you kind of want to stop trying.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, what's the point? Like I've met everyone I could meet. Yeah. Like I go out, like, like I go out all the time. I meet a lot of people. Yeah. And then it's just like, okay, I meet a lot of people. I've been on the apps. It's just like, nothing's working. Like no one's connecting. Like even like, okay, it might be a good guy, like whatever. It doesn't work. So like, what do you do then? You just keep waiting.
would you prefer then to like, are you in the position where you're like, okay, I'm just gonna wait for it to come to me, or are you like, no, numbers, like I gotta go through those numbers to find the person?
It's exhausting to be on an app.
Yeah,
It's exhausting. I don't want to put myself through that, especially if it puts me in a bad mental or emotional state. Like I'm not going to do that. If I'm going to meet someone and I can do it while I'm out, when I'm with my friends, when I'm out with people, like that's better for me. I have a support system around me. Like I can have a natural, genuine conversation with someone.
Yeah.
I can actually like, see them in person.
You're
like
assessing it quicker.
That's exactly, like that's better for me than just like going through apps and just being like, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this.
That's true. Makes
It's
sense.
exhausting.
It's pretty exhausting, I gotta say.
Like it's like a mental and emotional toll, honestly. Like I don't know, do you
Yeah.
like, do men feel that a mental and emotional toll going through like dating apps, or like
Oh yeah, definitely. I've definitely
definitely do,
talked to guy
probably.
friends who have deleted the app because they were also trying to do something serious,
Yeah.
but then just the energy of swiping and then talking, and then also just going
Yeah.
through it.
Like, I don't have
Sometimes
the
I feel
energy
like
for
it's
that
a game.
anymore.
Swipe, swipe,
Yeah.
swipe, swipe, swipe.
It is a game.
Like it's like as much as we want to say
Yeah.
like as much as we want to say dating apps are the future, this is the only way to meet people, it's not how we as humans were intended to function.
No, we're not.
Like we're not intended to function that way.
I know. Sometimes it's like, how do you meet people these days?
Arranged marriage.
It's luck. Life is literally a lot about luck, timing.
Yeah.
I think it's a timing thing.
It's a timing thing.
I think you have to be ready to meet the right person.
That
And they
too.
have to be ready too. Maybe you're ready, but he's not ready.
Good lord.
So
So,
he's somewhere
like,
out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
He might not be ready. He might be gallivanting out there somewhere. You
There was a real sorry
and
that
then he's waiting for his Louise.
well, maybe.
You
But
know?
sorry, there was a reel that I remember. Reels are interesting because I find they kind of speak to just what people relate to as well. They're kind of like little windows of like, oh my gosh, yeah, I've had that, or I've experienced
yeah.
that, right? But there was this one reel where, again, guys were out there talking to women about standards and like what are you looking for? But they were talking about how, why would any guy want to get married when the women, like you're saying, women are expecting you to have this much money, this is. Like, what value are you giving me? What value are you providing to the marriage? Like, so basically men are like, outside of the Catholic like definition of marriage, there's also no there's no function for marriage unless you want kids and then you want
I
to settle
think I've
down,
seen
which
that.
like you said at this point might be into someone's late 30s, early 40s even. So it's
Yeah.
like, maybe you're waiting for those men. You gotta like start looking up, put the on the dating app. Maybe
Yeah,
that's the
put
trick.
the
Just
age
age to 35 to
37,
46.
38, 41.
Yeah. Like
But that might be weird, I don't know.
The thing is with like women nowadays is that women think it's enough to just be a woman and you deserve it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, like no. I'm sorry, like what did you do to deserve it? Like what like again, like what are you bringing to this relationship? If I'm bringing my height, my money, my like I don't know what else, my the color of my eyes,
Yeah.
like if I'm bringing my genetics, like what are you bringing? Like your genetics, great, but like are you bringing anything else? Like it's the same thing where men like sometimes just look at women and just like, oh, I just need like someone to like bear child. Like we can't look at it like that way, right? Like we can't just be like, oh, it's enough to just be like a man, it's enough to just be a woman, like it's enough to fit certain physical traits or whatever. We have to look deeper into like the people, like our standards have to look deeper into the soul of a person, and like we have to make those standards based on like what we actually feel like we need.
Sometimes I question
But
though-
everything's superficial these days, so that's why.
But that's a
Yeah.
problem.
But that's
It's a
the
huge
problem.
problem.
It's a huge
Yeah.
problem. I just said, like the psychologist literally talked
Yeah.
about, like men who invest in women that don't provide that.
Yeah.
Because it's a superficial world. Nobody wants to. That's why the conversations are not there, because they're all superficial.
Yeah.
There's no
But is that
substance to them.
so? This thing is this a testament to the lack of knowledge passed down to the next generation, or is it that we tried, the old school way? This is kind of like what you're saying right now. It's like the old school way of looking at things, and that's just no longer feasible or even effective. Like,
I think
it's just not efficient. Like, you just
I
like, there's a
think
better way to
we-
go about life now, and this is it.
I think we messed up the traditional way of going through things.
Yeah.
Like we distorted like what it is we knew.
Feminism.
It's not feminine. Like, okay, this is my
That one I don't.
this is my little nitpick because no, I know, but like this is my little
knowing
nitpick.
you, who's very much about feminism, like.
But like no, but here's
women
my thing.
power,
Here's my
like-
nitpick. It's not feminism because it's not feminism. It's
Yeah.
a distorted version of feminism that is not feminism. So if we blame feminism, I don't like that. It's like saying, "Oh, I blame Catholicism." I'm like, yeah, but this way of thinking is not Catholicism.
I
Yeah.
disagree.
I think
Yeah,
I think
actually.
as human beings, we've never been able to find the middle ground.
Oh,
we've
yeah,
never
never.
been able
Yeah.
to find
Yeah.
the medium or like the balance of things.
Oh my
Even
gosh, it's so true.
Before it
Even
was
with
like it was too
Catholicism,
like
I know.
traditional. Like it was like women
Yeah.
have to get married, have kids. You got to be 20 something to get kids. Like, there was like this thing, and women were just seen as baby makers, and women were seen as like homemakers and all this stuff, and that was all they were known to be as. The person, you as a woman, as a person, it was like a completely thing. You weren't even looked at as a person sometimes back in the days. And then now we've moved to completely the opposite end where it's like,
Women are the new men.
We are the new men. We don't need men. Let's just get rid of them altogether. And it's like,
No.
why can't we just be halfway? Like, why can why can't I just have like the family and everything and have those things? Like, I don't understand why am I being. And also, women are looked at they're looked at badly if you want to have a family and kids. Like I think I said.
Is that
this
from
to
other
someone.
women? Or?
Yeah, I've said this to somebody. I was like, I wouldn't mind if my husband provides for me and he works and I stay home with the kids. Like, I wouldn't mind doing that. Like, I would be okay to stay home and provide for my family in the way that I want to. I'm like, I mean, I would like to raise my kids myself, like, but obviously I would like to have a partnership. Like, my husband works, but I also want that partnership to
But
be
people
there.
say that outlook is just a reaction to the wave of feminism pushing forward. It's like, and in a way, you're right. Like, it really is. Sorry, in a way, it is right. You're reacting because you're saying, well, I don't like the direction that society's going, so I'm going to go back to a more
But there
traditional way
has
of
to be
looking
a
at things.
balance.
Yeah,
Like,
there
it
has to be a
doesn't have to
balance.
be either or. And like
Yeah.
when I said that, like, they literally looked at me like, why would you want that?
Why can't I? Why
Yeah.
can't I want that?
I'm like, why can't I want that?
As a
I don't
woman, you have
want-
the power to
yeah,
want
like,
what you
yeah.
want.
Yeah, he's like, why would you want
Yeah.
that if you can have your own career? I'm like, bro, do you like working? I hate working. I hate waking up in the mornings.
Yeah.
I hate going to work. Why am I working? Like, if somebody's saying,
Yeah,
here,
that's true.
you take care of your children, I will provide everything else. You don't have to worry about it. Be like, oh my gosh, yes, thank you. I don't want to think about work. I don't want to.
Motherhood is one of the greatest
motherhood
jobs.
is in itself like
job.
such a giving job. Like, you're giving of yourself, right? Like, it takes sacrifice. It takes so many things, and our jobs do too. But like, there's so much more fulfillment.
Yeah,
in being
there's
a
more
mother.
fulfillment
So
in,
you know what I
like, the
mean? So I'm
mother
like, I don't understand. Like, I think they're just. And it comes from a place where, like, they want to just, obviously, the target is the family, right? Like, we can get into this, like, religious piece
Remember
to
the
it.
thing that I sent
It
you?
is destroying the family.
What did you send her?
When
Wait,
if
thing
hold
that
on,
I
wait.
sent you
Wait, what?
about feminism.
yeah,
Or
what? Like,
You didn't send it to
Describe
me.
it. What is it? Yeah, what is
Oh,
it?
I think
She's
you're getting.
Oh, okay.
Well, what is it? So what is it? Tell me.
It's so.
it's a little controversial, but it's true, though. It is
Talk
true.
about it.
Okay, let it go. Explain it to me, please.
The one where it was like when feminists were
When feminism started and they met.
Diana, you say it. You're good at
The
controversial
feminist
stuff.
movement, like all these women, I forget their names, but they're
Yeah.
like these women who started the movement of feminism. They all got together and they said, how are we going to start this movement? How are we going? It's like, well, we're going to get rid of men. We're going to get rid of the family. We're going to get rid of... And it actually is documented. It's documented. Like,
I
that's
remember
what they
this.
did. They wanted...
Masculinity. We're
That's
gonna
how they're
push for,
going to
like-
get rid of it.
It's like, how are we
And-
going to get rid of men? Well, we're going to get rid of the patriarchy.
How are we
gonna
gonna get rid
do
of the-
that? We're going to
we're gonna
promote
do this, we're gonna
promiscuity.
promote-
and we're
How are
gonna-
we
And there you go. So those things, I don't think it's a lie. I don't think people made that. That's actually documented. Like, it's
Why
a
would I be
document.
mad?
Well,
I'm
I
like,
don't know what
listen,
to
No,
do.
whoever
you would
said-
you would get fired up over it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's
who
what I mean.
said?
What
Who
do
said
you
that I have to
mean?
work? I don't want to work, bro.
Yeah.
Literally, if I can stay home, I want to.
But why would I get mad about that? Like, that's not a good thing.
It's a terrible thing.
Yeah, it's a terrible
It's
thing.
a
So why
reality
would
of
I
a
get
real
mad
thing.
about that?
No, like it'll
I
just
don't know
get
why
you
she said
fired
that,
up.
but you get riled up. But what I'm trying to say is, like,
Heated.
it's just we can't find a medium, like, right? Like, we're trying to get rid of one sex and we're trying to get rid of the other sex. You're like, we just have to find like a common ground. And like I said, like, a marriage is a partnership. It's like,
You know, for a second,
Yeah.
when I watched the Barbie movie,
Okay.
I thought that was gonna be the message,
And then
that,
it
like-
wasn't.
and then it wasn't. I was like,
how did you not see that?
It was a possibility.
No, it was a
leaning. It was
possibility.
leaning.
I know
It was
you were
leaning.
in a different state of mind when you watched it, but like literally at the end, when they were like, "Can we have a
No,
scene in
but it's
Senate?" and they were
not-
like, "No," I was like, "Hey, y'all lost the plot.
Yeah.
Y'all lost the
like
plot."
it
on
was so close,
It was
and then
so
No,
it
you
was
know what it is? Because
so
before I went to watch the
no.
Barbie movie, because I was excited to watch it too, but then once I started to like look at like podcasts and people like talking about it, I kind of got like the messaging of what it was, and I was like, okay.
Well, it was going.
And then
a
when I
certain
watched
way.
it, I was like, seriously?
yeah.
Oh God.
No, it was getting there. And then the one time when the one guy says like, "Can we have a seat in the Senate?" and the president goes, "No." I'm like, "Okay, y'all lost it.
Yeah.
Y'all
that's-
lost it." That's like,
It's like, yeah, let's tell women, no, you don't get a seat at the Senate.
Like,
either. It's like,
oh
Oh my
no.
gosh, if that happens, the world will fall apart.
Yeah,
that's what happened in the
That's the point.
movie.
Yeah.
I
So,
just
like-
wanted to be part of it.
I agree. The middle ground is like definitely always the
It has to be a
best
balance.
route.
There has
It's
to be a balance, but there's no balance. We've never been able to accomplish that.
Thanos was right. I'm joking.
But that's well,
perfectly balanced.
as societies though, that's usually what happens, right? You push too far one direction, and then there's a correction usually, and then it comes back, maybe an overcorrection too, and then it goes back and forth. And I think the idea is like it's a pendulum that is meant to try to find the middle. But if you allow any side to push too hard or take control, then you end up stagnant or literally blowing yourselves up, and like just the entire society crumbles. Sorry,
It's true.
but I was trying to say though, right now though, I think societies are starting to boil. Like, you know, you're like you said, there's more traditional people such as yourselves or such as us, who are pushing for a more traditional voice. I guess all more middle. I think.
It's
It's
not even
more-
traditional. It's just
it's
the
middle.
way it's meant to be.
No,
way
but
it's
I've
meant to
heard
happen,
like
right?
there are women who are like, no, I'm like a traditional work at home. I'm not working. I'm gonna.
Listen, if that's what
Yeah,
they
it's
want for
fine, though.
themselves, that's
Yeah.
completely fine.
No, but I've also heard women who are like, oh, like I have to ask permission. To
Yeah,
that's
stuff like
but-
that.
Stuff
yeah.
like that, like to the
But
Like
that's- but that's
overly
not-
traditional.
overly-
Like,
But that's
it's
not
like,
that's not balance anymore, right? That's a loss of
Yeah,
your own
that's-
agency now.
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. So society right now is at a point where you're getting now the like both sides to kind of like start building, and I think they're gonna just have an all out like battle. Just
It's a huge cultural war right now, I think, in the West. I don't know about like
Oh, I
I
mean,
think it's
hear
happening
in-
everywhere.
Everywhere else, they're fighting for their lives.
That's true.
it's true though.
Oh, well, that was.
fair. I just don't know much about the
It's
other
true.
place around the world, so I was just gonna say here.
No,
in
I
the
think it's
West.
happening everywhere. I think it's
They're just
happening
like a-
everywhere.
it's a
Like
cultural
it's coming
war.
everywhere. Like, you know, like Latinas are known to be very traditional people, right? Like we like Latina women. How many guys want a Latina woman? Because like Latinas are like they'll cook for you, they'll take care of your kids, like they'll do these.
Yeah, I think
The
we all mixed the mark on that.
Latino communities are more traditional. You know, they're very traditional, but
Yeah.
we're also rooted in our religion, like our religious beliefs, right? Like our values. Our value system come from religion, so that's probably why. There's men that leave Canada or like the West and go to other countries to find
Yeah.
a traditional woman
Yeah.
because they cannot find it here. They're like, no, it's not happening here,
I have to leave.
and they have to leave to
Well,
another.
maybe that's
I
where
have
all
to
your
go
men
find
are.
them.
They're leaving, bro. Like, that's what they
All your men.
Who wants to rent my condo?
They're not here. They're leaving. You gotta go over there.
Who wants to rent
So
my
what you
condo?
do is you make your profile though, but you say you're from the Philippines
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
and you do the accent.
no, hell no. I am not gonna do that.
Whoa, we're going to some levels here.
I'm not gonna act like a mail order bride, okay?
This is too funny though. Like, imagine if you got more hits just
can't.
like that.
I can't.
I know she's traditional. Why? Because she has the accent. That's why.
Got the accent.
Tupate for the men of the world.
It's so good too. That's the thing. She does it really well.
Definitely do it. You can do it.
She does it really
You find a
well.
man like this.
I'm such wifey material. Okay, come on.
Come on. Okay, yes, but you have to have the accent.
I can't do it.
I think you'll find them. I think it is hard to find.
It's hard to find, but they're
do-
somewhere in the world.
And then do the dating app in spurts every once in a while. Maybe a month here and then
When you
off
go to
for a
different
couple.
countries, just go on the app and start swiping.
Yeah,
See if
right.
you find someone.
Right. Okay, so guys, pick my next destination. Should I go Scandinavia? Because they're
Scandinavia!
they're great to their women. The Scandinavian men are really great to their
Yeah,
women.
yeah.
If you're out there,
She's sending out her profile right
I'll
now.
meet you at IKEA.
She'll build you your table.
Honey, there's a Chinese family in our bathroom.
No, they're the ones that have to. Oh,
What's
he'll
that
build her
called?
the
Yeah,
table.
she'll
Yeah.
build it for you.
That's from 500 Days of Summer.
You just show them what furniture
Oh,
you want.
yeah. I remember that scene.
They won't have to. They probably know how to do it with their eyes closed.
What?
Build furniture from IKEA.
Hey, I can build my own bookshelf from IKEA. I built 2.
I have a hard time, man.
Nah, that's why you need a man.
Probably. I'm also lazy, so I'm like, yo, you want to do it? Go ahead. I'm happy. I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel like
But,
you're
like-
taking away my
but, like,
rights.
yeah.
I am great.
But like, here's
You
the
want to do it? do it.
But here's the thing about like a lot of women, like you see a lot of content now of women decorating,
Yeah.
doing their own DIYs, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like
great.
like it's
I'm not
so,
that person.
I know you're not that person.
Definitely
but,
not the person.
But like this is like another like this is a thing where it's like, oh, before it used to be like only men can like do like, you know, have power tools or do these things. But like I see women and they're doing like a wonderful job at it, and it's like,
Yeah.
and like they're still like, you know, they're still women, and it looks beautiful. Like they're doing whatever they want to their homes. Their husband comes home, they're like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so happy you can do all this. Like, I've seen like DIY couples where the husband comes, he's like, I'm really proud of you, like really made our home like feel like a home. Like this one woman surprised her husband with like a brand new office.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's one of like the beautiful gifts that you can like give, like, you know, and where you're not even a traditional woman. So like, I didn't bake you a pie, like you can if you want to, but like I DIY'd a whole office for you.
That's nice.
I want a man who can build me a library. I know that's a high standard, but if you can or teach me how to do it, I'll do it myself.
I feel like you only find that out though once
Yeah.
they vibe with you.
I know.
That doesn't come out on the first date. You know?
No, I mean, you'd be
Build
surprised.
stuff.
Like
build
immediate, it says carpenter, immediate yes.
Immediate yes.
Saint Joseph, okay?
Immediately, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Immediately
That's
yes.
so funny.
Saint
You're
Joseph.
like, I'll cook for you. That's
You?
fine. Yeah, I can cook.
Yeah.
People are surprised when I say that. I'm like,
I
hello,
said yes!
I'm Spanish.
Okay, you know
I
what?
can
If
cook.
people say that,
Yeah.
and it makes me feel bad. Because I don't like cooking. I don't like it. You know this. You're gonna be
Yeah.
the one cooking.
Yeah.
And that's
Listen,
okay.
if a man can cook for me too, I'll be like,
Ah.
yes, cook for
Listen,
me.
listen.
But I'll bake. I'm a good
Yeah.
baker.
You are a good
I
baker.
love
I
cooking.
bake cookies.
I just don't like
And
washing
pies.
dishes. If you wash the dishes for me, I'm like, I will bake
See,
whatever.
I
guys,
am really good
partnership.
at setting up a
Guys
dish.
are
I like
wild.
doing this. You don't like it?
These
Cool.
are the standard conversations. Wow. Compromises.
Yeah.
compromises.
Compromises.
Like, listen,
There's
I
an-
don't know how to build things. I'm actually a tool myself. I don't know how to do it. But like, if you're with me and you teach me, then I'll do it together.
Yeah.
And you help me out. We're good.
Yeah.
I can't do it by myself though.
Yeah.
Don't expect me to do things like that. I can't do it. Just no, it's not gonna happen. Sorry.
It's
Really
so
waiting
interesting.
on
I
that.
clean really well though.
Huh?
Just putting out
You clean
to
really
making
well.
up for the fact
Yeah.
that I can't
No,
cook.
it's true.
She can cook, but she doesn't like
can't.
it.
No, she can clean.
No. I guess I can cook. I really don't like it.
Yeah, I get it.
I love-
I
like
I'm
cooking.
pretty good in the
I think
kitchen.
this is the fun stuff about when you're in a relationship, like then balancing that stuff out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
those aren't like the deal breakers, right?
I like drinking wine.
I mean,
you can
it
cook and I can drink wine.
might not be a deal breaker. It just might be
might
something
work.
that you need to find someone who compliments you in that way.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
can always make it work. If you both can't cook, you'll learn together.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
a great
That's
taking care of
100%.
It's
people.
not like this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
Someone needs
Yeah,
to cook.
you
I'm
are.
good at taking care of you. I will take care of you.
Which is funny because that's to your point though, like to what you said, sorry, is guys. I think guys
Want that.
want
Yeah,
that,
they
or
want
if
that
they
out. That's a
don't
good-
know they want it yet, when they start having it, they realize it's something they really
They
like.
want like men love
Yeah.
like I will literally I might not like cooking, but if it means taking care of you, I'll do it.
Yeah,
If,
yeah.
If you want
think
me to,
men
like,
want the-
you know, have this for you done, I'll do it for you. I will do it, but you better be giving me something.
Yeah.
You better not expect it all the time.
Okay, so then what is it that if okay
don't
so
expect it, because when it becomes an expectation,
yes.
that's like nah.
But here's the thing. Okay, if men want
Don't ask me
if
to be
men want
like-
comfort in the relationship,
different.
women want the security. Like that's
Like
not,
here's
I don't
the
think
thing.
that's even.
Here's
Like
the
what's
thing.
the
Here's the thing. Like if a woman like
Both of
cooks
them.
and does all the laundry
Yeah.
and does all these things for you, if she gets sick, she wants to know that she can be she's going to be taken care of.
Yep.
And like she doesn't want she wants
taken
to
care of in the same way?
in the same way. Like
Yeah.
like he knows like okay, you're sick, you can't do these things.
Yeah.
I will pick up. Like you
Like
can only
food,
give
or I will make
10%.
sure I
Yeah.
I'm
clean
going to step up so I can compensate for
Yeah,
that.
that's exactly
and not
it.
just think that like, oh, you're the woman, you have to do it even when you're
Okay,
sick.
but I don't
Yeah.
think that's still the like what I'm looking for as far as because so you're basically saying like oh when a woman is incapable of doing those things she wants just the man to be able to do that, but that's not the core fundamental thing that women want in a relationship or like out of that man, right? It's just just step up when I can't.
Well,
do my
like if they
job,
want to know
or
that
my not job.
they,
but,
they
like,
want
my-
to know
my
if they're
stuff.
not able to give, that they have someone who can also like if you can only give 10%, maybe the other person can only give 10% and you agree like we can only give 20 today, but like you have to have someone who can work in a partnership that you can like that it will all work out, right?
Yeah.
Like say
But how
like,
do women like to be loved, I guess is my question, right? How do like men like to
Everyone's
be loved by
Everyone's
being
different.
taken
For
care
women,
Yeah.
it is different. Some
Really?
women need words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Some women need, like, for me personally, like, I need actions.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm
Acts of service?
like, if I acts of service, like, if I'm doing all of these things for you, I'm not saying like I'm expecting it, but like, if I will, like, honestly, like, I will move, like, I will look at you and I know that this is what you are. This, I will accept you, and I'll be like, this is what I'll do, and I will like do it. But then when it becomes an expectation, and then you all of a sudden you're expecting it, and then you're like, the minimum thing that I'm asking you, you can't do it. That to me is like, you don't care about me.
yeah.
You
No,
don't
I
care about
agree.
anything that I'm doing. You don't care about the.
I still think that's also men and women, because men also have their
Love language.
love languages. Like men will like acts of services or words of affirmation. There are going to be that as well. But I'm still saying, at the end of the day, I think if a man feels like this woman is like taking care of him, it's the thing that
Yeah.
settles him in, where he just now like everything just like
But
relaxes.
here's
He's
like-
just
here's-
I'm I'm happy. Here.
Here's
Like,
where I'm gonna like
Yeah,
kind
make
of
you get
like
comfortable like that.
so like if
But
So
that's-
can women.
like it's not just
True.
like the physical act of doing, it's also like taking on a mental load,
Yeah.
right? Like it's the idea of like, can you go to the grocery stores and pick up stuff, or like if a man says, oh, we're out of this, and the woman's just like, I have a million things in my head, can you go to the store and pick it up?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, it's like it's like also being present and not just expecting like, okay, because she normally does the grocery shopping, I'm gonna put that on her list to do.
Yeah.
But like if you're capable of doing that, also sharing that mental load and doing something like that, right? Like it's this idea that you're able
Is
to
this like the venting thing too, where it's like the mental load you're talking about, where women also want to
not
vent, men have
necessarily.
to-
Not necessarily.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's not necessarily that. It's just like if you're thinking about like a partnership and you're in a household,
Yeah.
right? Like if a woman normally does like a bunch of things, you know, like say she does all the laundry, she cleans, she cooks, maybe she buys all the Christmas presents, right? Like you want a man who's also considerate, that like, oh, maybe she's like really tired from work, like, oh, I can do the laundry today, or like I can do the groceries today. Like she's taking care of you, but she
Yeah.
also wants to know that you're also considering and taking care of her. Like she needs to know that like
Is that what makes a woman feel safe though?
yeah, it does make a woman feel safe because she
Knowing
knows
that
that
the man's gonna be considerate of just
yeah, 100%, because she knows that like if she's like having a bad day or sick, someone's gonna be able to take care of their kids, and she won't have to worry while she's sick in bed that he's not gonna like get them to school on time, or he's not gonna have food for them ready, right?
Isn't that very standard though, or no? Is that
Yeah.
how bad it is out there? because for me, I'm like, well, yeah. Why
It
are
is
you?
because some men will just be like,
Yeah.
like
So
they'll go
standard
through the
for
house,
me.
they'll be like, oh, we're out of like oranges, and the woman's like, well, you're going to the store, like, why don't you just pick it up?
Are
Like,
men really like? I can't believe
Yes,
that.
1000%.
I think it depends too. Like,
No, I think it depends
I
because
think
you're
it
talking. You
depends.
have to talk about like when you're
most-
in a relationship, though, right?
Yeah.
It's different. Sorry.
I
go
think
ahead.
it's different. I think it depends on the type of the place where the relationship's
Yeah.
at too, because like men get complacent. They do.
Yeah.
They get used to something that you've had. And
I think people
then-
get complacent.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Complacent.
Yeah.
No, but like I'm just trying to say, like, I think men, for example, women, we just know that we pay attention to details. We do. We're very detailed oriented. Like if we know what's missing, we know what needs to get done. We know that this needs to be. We know everything that's happening. Men,
Okay.
you kind of have to direct them into that direction. Like you have to tell them like, this is what I need. You gotta literally tell them specifically. And I'm speaking from talking to women who have like husbands and children, and they are literally, all of them sound the same. They're like,
Yeah.
I literally have to tell them, please,
No, I think it's fair. There's
do
definitely
this.
Yeah.
that's
Please
a general.
do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, please,
Yeah.
I'm asking you to do this. And they just don't get it. They're like,
Yeah.
I don't understand. Why are you mad? Like, why is this a problem? Because they don't understand. For a woman,
That
it's
is
like,
a lot.
for a woman, it's like, I gotta take care of the kid. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. Can you please do this? And for a woman, it's like, I don't want to tell you to do it. I want you to know to do it.
So basically,
Yeah.
when the men take that mental load of letting the
Exactly.
woman.
And I think
knowing how
men
to what needs to
struggle
get
with
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Men are not like thinking 5 steps ahead like we are.
Yeah.
We literally are. You guys are thinking like, I'm doing this today. I'm doing this right now. I'm doing that. And then women were just like, I gotta do this. I gotta
Yeah.
take the kid. I gotta do this. I gotta do grocery. Your brain is in 5 different places. And man is like, where am I going to?
You know what?
So if a man in that moment,
It's
What?
just, I think it's
Sorry?
just the way men are wired.
I get it.
I think it's
Yeah.
the way men are wired because
Yeah.
honestly, I've had this conversation with several women who are married with children, and they all say the same thing. All of them. Like, I have not heard a woman that doesn't say the same thing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, are all the same?
Yeah.
Like, they're all the same.
well, the
And
joke, right? Happy wife, happy life is it's being said for generation after
Yeah.
generation
But it's the
for a
truth
reason, no?
because men are not wired the same as women. Women, we are paying attention to the details, to everything that needs to be done. Everything we have, our brain is in 5 different places at the same time. Men don't.
Oh
think
yeah,
that
that's
way.
the thing about like men's brains.
Yeah,
Like
your
one
brain
box.
is like
That's
one
a
box, and that's
At a
literally
time.
the box. And then you got to do one task at a
And
time.
then women's brains are like
Women have to tell you what to do. We have
Yeah.
to be
What?
like
Women, like
it's the
spaghetti.
thing.
Yeah.
Like men need to be like they have to be directed. Here, please go get the groceries. Please go do this. And I think we expect that a man to like, especially like your husband or your partner to just be like, I want to help you. I want to take care of take the initiative.
Yeah.
Ask her, can I help you with something?
Yeah.
Men, when I think it's especially if you're in a marriage, I think it becomes more of like you just become like, oh, this is a routine.
Yeah.
You just
No,
kinda
I
go
get
with
it. I
it.
get
And
it. You
it's
see
not
your
because he
woman
doesn't love
stressed
you.
out, you go
Yeah.
up to her. and
It's
you,
not because
like-
he doesn't love you. It's just
Yeah.
because the relationship's at a place where there's so many things happening, right? Especially with kids. I've noticed with women, these 2 ladies that I
Yeah.
work with, they're literally like they both have toddlers and they both sound the same. I was like, oh my gosh, like don't get married. I was like,
Yeah.
oh okay.
oh
Well.
my gosh.
Yeah, like they're just like, but that's because the toddler years, like the crazy 2s, right? Like
Yeah.
they're the roughest years, and the woman's the one that has to
Yeah.
take a lot of the load on
Yeah.
that. Men, they go to work, they come back, and the food should be made, or you know the dishes, and even if you do the dishes, she's gonna probably end up cleaning up after the fact that
Yeah.
you cleaned up the dishes because you didn't do it properly.
Yeah.
Like you didn't do it the way.
But
she
there
wanted
was
you
a
to do it.
criticism on that too, where it's like
Right, but I think it's
men
just a
are
matter
doing
of,
it in the way they're helping you, and they want to
yeah,
help. But women
sometimes
also have
it's
this
not really
expectation. Yeah.
helping because you might have just left the kitchen
Yeah.
worse than it was before.
Yeah.
So like, do you see what I'm saying?
But
like,
if a woman takes that was like criticism a woman was saying. It's like, but like we have to understand that men are also. You're not gonna motivate a man to be more helpful
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
give them crap every time they try to help. 'Cause
Yeah.
then they're like,
Exactly.
"Oh,
Yeah.
And
So-
but the thing is that, but you also have to understand, like, if you have a 2-year-old,
yeah.
right? You have to make sure, like, if they have to get picked up from daycare, they're calling the mom. The
But
first
see,
person
so
that
that's
gets
the thing.
called.
So that
Like,
comes
there's
down
all
to
these things.
communication in the
Yeah.
relationship.
But
Yeah.
that's what it says. Like,
communication.
and this is what when I was talking to one of them, she literally said, she's like, before my child, she's like, I thought we had a really good communication. I thought we had a really great relationship, that there was so much communication there. She's like, now, she's like, I don't know where that went.
Yeah.
But we struggle because children tend to challenge a relationship,
Yeah.
right? Like they challenge you in a way that you had no idea.
Well, it's shown actually. Relationship couples will see a decrease in happiness in their
their
relationship
children
once they have
coming.
children.
Yeah.
God, they ruin everything, no?
Diana.
It's true though.
I'm joking, no, kids.
No, it's
Oh.
like no, as in like it's like studies have shown relationships are ruined by children.
They're not
No,
ruined by children.
okay, we're being very
this.
we're
We get all
we're
semantics.
harping on exactly. You're
No,
really
it's
harping
just
on the word.
you're
ruined.
just. I mean,
It's
like
challenge.
It
It
challenges your
challenges.
relationship, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to
Yes.
be a mom, and you have to be a wife, and you have to be like you have to think of all of these things for women, anyways, because
course.
we are actually women are the ones that have to be with the baby like most of the time, and men it's a different role, man. Like women, we're just honestly like I was talking to these women, and I was like, I can't believe all the things that women do. Like we do so much. Like we do so much, and we're able to do it. And I have single mothers; they do it. I mean, I'm
Do
sure
you think
men.
men do a lot though? Yeah,
I
was
think men
wondering.
do.
Men can't. Men are capable.
Men
that's,
are capable.
That's what grates on a lot of women. It's like, I know you're capable of this.
It's
Like,
just-
can you also?
I think they
consider-
also just become so overwhelmed. Probably,
Yeah.
there's just so much happening that like I don't know what
like
to do.
it's this idea. It's like
See, I haven't done enough.
Yeah.
I haven't been in this position, so I can't fight for men in these
Yeah.
situations.
well, yeah,
but
because
Yeah.
you haven't lived
Yeah,
it. But I'm only speaking because
I can't imagine
I've
though men
heard
are
it
that
from
like dopey. Like
many different women.
What's
Yeah.
going on?
like don't like ever get to the point where you're taking for granted that I do so much things that you can't like 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 we talk about like weaponizing competence. Like don't ever get to that point, right? Like even like something as like for example like hosting a party.
Yeah.
Like how many things go into that, and how much does like a woman do just to get everything ready? Like what's on her checklist in her head, and like what could you possibly do to help, right? Like are you just letting her do all the work, or are you going to like
So what if? Okay,
Oh.
here's something that I'm proposing though, because what if the way a man approaches though like the same party sees a bunch of things that a woman is stressed out about as just like frills or not. Well, yeah, frills are unnecessary things that you're stressing about. That
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can be
Like,
clipped
why are you
off.
stressing over that? Like, just don't
don't,
do it.
but don't come out with that attitude. You like I
Yeah.
like we okay. How many names am I allowed to say here?
No, you're not
No,
allowed
no,
to say
no
any.
names.
Okay, well we have a friend.
Yes.
She was having a party.
Yes.
And then she was stressed out about all these people coming over
Yes.
to the point where she was like, "Oh my gosh, should we have vacuumed?" And then her husband was like, was it her husband, fiance at the time maybe? Was just like, "No, it's okay. We don't need to vacuum. People are going to come in. It's going to be a mess anyway,
Yeah.
right?" And then she was just like she told me, she's like, "See, like he really does like balance my anxiety."
Yeah.
So like men have to understand how to calm those anxieties too, because what to you may seem like frills, you can't
Yeah.
like go up to a woman and like kind of invalidate how she feels or dismiss it, like what
So
might
one thing
be,
I want
like,
to target about the
important.
language
Yeah.
that is being spoken is that men need to do this. I think it's couples need to do this. They need to
Yeah.
communicate better.
Yeah,
right?
what do women need to do too?
Well,
Let's
women
talk
also
about
We also
need
need
to-
to learn how to. We need to
need to
learn
learn to
how to
communicate.
voice like in a way that it makes it easier for men to work with you, right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, instead of nagging or
Yeah.
maybe like, why won't
Yeah.
you do this? Like, why won't
Yeah.
you help me? Like,
Yeah.
no, just walk him through it. Be
Just
like,
tell
okay, this
him.
is what I
or when
need
you
from
nag
you.
like,
Yeah.
"Yo, why'd you do dishes like
Yeah,
this?
like,
I asked you to
no.
do it this way." It's like,
Yeah,
Just
just
like
like
say,
have
"Can
a
you do it this
conversation.
way?"
Be like, this is what I need from you right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing this.
And don't expect men to read your mind. Just tell
Yeah.
them. You can tell them.
You know what? We
Hey,
do believe
can you
that they
pick
can
up
read our
this?
minds.
because that's a great example. But
Yeah.
to your point, like
It's
if
like,
that's
but
a
they
thrill of
don't.
vacuuming in the moment, it's like, well, don't stress
tell me.
about it because it doesn't need to be done.
Yeah.
It actually takes something off a woman's plate, and then
Yeah.
a man also then can focus on something more important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
with
think
you
and I
about
think
whatever's going
men
on in the
tend to
party.
just like not, because like I said, we pay attention to details. You guys don't. I think with certain things, men are just like, no, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Like that's
Yeah.
you guys don't see the big deal out of it, whereas we do, and we're like, no. Like my mom, for example. We're like, why are you stressing over this? Oh my god! And she's just stressing, and it's
Yeah.
like, why are you stressing? It's not a big deal, you
Which
know?
is why you have men there too. If you can apply a little bit of that man's mindset, will like de-stress
Mom,
her
chill
and then
out.
be like,
But it's you
Yeah.
know what I
Things
mean. Like
get
I
done.
think
Yeah.
women, we just like tend to just we want things to be done a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
We need things to be done a certain way, or like you know. But we have to learn to compromise, and we have to learn to communicate that with your partner. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is what I need from you. This is what we need to do together in order for us. This will help me with my anxiety, and this will help you, so I don't yell at you. Yay! Everybody wins.
Pretty much so.
We all win. So just do
Yeah.
it. She's like, tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And then he'll do it. You know, it's like obviously be nice about it. Don't yell at him.
Like no one wants to be mad.
No, yes. Sorry, I was gonna.
No, I'm like speaking from like you know like, and then
Yeah.
it is easy for me to say these things because obviously. I'm not in a relationship, so I don't know what that would look like
What
for
the
me.
challenge will
what the
be
challenge
when
will
you're
be
in
for
it.
me. I know what I have had challenge in the past, and like I said, all red flags, no good. So I don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. So I mean, I know it from my friends and what I've seen, but I haven't experienced one myself. So who knows? It might not be great. You might have to deal with me. So we'll see. You might have to be like, oh my god, patience, patience with this one. But I'm being serious. Like you know, you don't know how you'll be until you're in it, right? And then when you're in it, then you know, okay, this is what needs to happen, and then that's why communication's so
I think
important.
being in this relationship, what I've learned is not to like provoke more stress or anger because
Yeah.
you're basically going to have her boil over. But what's really helped though is when she's also keeping that like boiling point to a very low simmer where it's like it doesn't even get to a point where she's like freaking out, because if she's already there and then I'm now basically now that all of the responsibilities on me to calm her down, it's a lot harder versus if she's still stressing but not losing it and I can kind of slip in and see, okay, she needs my help, then we get to the end result faster where we compromise or we find some kind of balance, and then
Yeah, but the idea is like you work together, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And then like that's the thing. I think I heard it from. I don't remember where it was that I heard it from, but I think it was another doctor or psychologist or something. She was saying we can't expect to be 50-50 in a relationship.
Yeah,
She's
no.
like
Yeah.
sometimes you'll be at a 50 and he'll be at a 50, and then yeah, that's great. Or sometimes you'll be at an 80 and he'll be at a 20. That's
Yeah.
why you have to you have to. You're not always going to be
Yeah.
the equal, right? You're always going to have, but that's what the partnership is. You compensate for each other's like faults
Yeah.
or whatever you're lacking. You have to be able to bring it to the table, and then he'll do the same with you.
Yeah,
once
yeah.
you're not at you're like at 20% today, and I really can't do this. And then
But that's
he's gonna
that's
be-
also on you to communicate when you're not.
yeah,
Yeah.
but of course it comes with communication. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's the biggest.
But that's the thing. Like that's
biggest
another
thing.
thing about like women. We need to communicate. Like, hey, I can't do this today. Like if you're like, I'm at this limit, like I literally can't do this today, and like, you know, you have to communicate to your partner, and your partner has to take that well too. They can't be like, well,
that's what I
you
was
kind
gonna
of have to
say.
get
I'm
it
like,
done.
men need to be able to be emotionally there to be able to communicate with you.
Yeah.
Because you can try to communicate with him, and he's literally gonna be
Yeah, but
like,
that I still think goes both ways. Well, some women are also like just like what's going on up there,
that's
and
what
it's
I'm-
just
but
like they don't have
that's-
control over their emotions, so they're just freaking out and they don't even know what the
why
core
they're
of it
freaking
is.
out. Yeah.
So there's like it goes back
Yeah,
both
true as
ways.
well.
I think what she said though that really sparked my thought was, when you're saying, "Oh, I'm communicating, I don't have enough in the tank right now for 50."
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest challenge, especially in like being a very self-centered culture, is, oh well, I also don't have
Yeah.
enough.
So you
So then
can't go there.
who decides to
No,
give in, right? And it's hard to figure out who's going to give in that moment.
So
'cause-
at that point, you have to sit down and be like, hey, what can we give today? Like, what can we do? Like, we have to work at it together. It can't be a like, okay, well, I feel this way. Like, what?
Yeah,
like,
I can't give in 50 either.
someone
You
has
should
to
be there
suck it
for
up.
me. Yeah.
It's just like, okay, well, like, if we can't clean the house today, like, let's just not. Like, it's not gonna end the
Yeah.
world, right? Like, let's see what we can do and go from there. Like, it's hard. Like, it's something that takes practice to do. But like, that's the kind of communication that people need. Like, it's in every kind of relationship, right? It's like even with your friends, with your family. Like, if you can't give this, like, and someone's saying like, I'm not there right
Yeah.
now. Like, the other person also has to take it well. It can't be a what about me?
But that comes with self-awareness, practice,
Yeah.
time. And I think that's, again, these are all things that take time to work on, which we've kind of already now narrowed down to. Today's culture doesn't allow for that, right? Social media in itself allows us to now
But that can't
like just
be an
forever
excuse.
scroll versus like think about our own feelings.
Yeah,
and
but that
thoughts
can't
and
be an
stuff in our
excuse.
heads.
Culture and social media are not an
Of
excuse
course,
to
it's
not work on
not.
yourself.
It's not exactly,
Yeah.
but it's right now the reality. So when going back to your question, if I like really bring it back to, like, you know, why are there no men right now, and what's going on with women as well, where they're also making it difficult? It's because the world and society has made it so that we are not as focused internally on ourselves, so that we're ready to be also in these positions to know exactly what we want, or be vulnerable, or be open. And I think that's a huge challenge.
I think it's also like I said, everything is so fast paced.
Yeah, that's it.
And
Things are
you know,
constantly pushing
you
you.
want a quick resolve. You want something quick. Like, I need to solve this right now. I need this quickly. This isn't fast enough for me. So I think when you have that, it prevents you from actually doing self-reflecting, because that takes time, and you have to have patience for that with yourself,
Yeah.
right? So if you can't have that, then that really doesn't work with what society's telling you, right? So you don't want to do it. And as I said, it's painful. It's really painful to like look within yourself and say, this is what I have to work on. This is what needs to change. You have to, it takes a lot of like digging up wounds and things, and nobody wants to do that.
And we
So
can't beat
it's better
someone
to
when they're
just-
down. You know, like if someone's admitting to something about themselves, like as much as we want to be like, okay, suck it up, like you in that moment, you also have to be like, okay, I see you're hurting. Like, and like I commend you for like not lashing out in a way that's unhealthy, but just like talking and voicing it. Because even that's like some of the hardest things for people to do is just to like voice when they have any sort of wound, or when they're not like feeling a certain way, or when they can't like do a certain thing. Some people don't even want to say that. They're just like, and you have to like communicate, like, okay, what's the issue? Why are you feeling this way? And you have to like let people know. Like if you don't let people know, they're just gonna assume like you're okay, like, oh, this person's always fine. But like that's not the case. And then they treat you and then in a way where it will trigger you, and you're like, then you lash out.
Yeah.
Right? So people have to learn how to communicate their vulnerabilities and moods, and like not to just anybody, like
Obviously no.
but like to the people that you trust.
But
And
I was gonna say, practicing with friends is a great.
and the
way of
people that
learning
you
how to do
trust
that.
have to learn how to receive that, and learn how to like speak in charity back. Because sometimes like you can go to someone and like maybe they're like, oh my gosh, this person, you've had this issue for years, like can you just like get yourself together? Like maybe in that moment you're like, well, maybe that's not like the right thing to say. Right? So you kind of have to like sit there and be like, hey, first charity, then, because like we've talked about like being brutally honest with people, and like it's fine. There are moments when that's absolutely fine. But if there's a moment when someone's like really hurting, and maybe it's the first time they voice something, you never want to get to a point where they never want to say anything in front of you anymore because you immediately went to brutal honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
That is true.
No, that's a really good piece of advice. Because just because something, the truth has to be spoken doesn't mean it has to be spoken at that moment.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean it doesn't mean it can't be
Or
spoken
that
with
way.
charity.
In that way, or that
Yeah.
way too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like some
You
people
can
might
speak
be.
truth with a cheerful tone, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
some people can be very like. Here's the thing, and here's the other thing about like when someone comes to you that way. Maybe they're not at a point yet where they can healthily voice those vulnerabilities, and they make sound like really irrational or unreasonable, or it sounds crazy to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, this person is like being overtaken by their emotions. Sometimes you also have to take a step back and be like, what does this person need right now? Like if I call them out for being crazy,
Yeah.
is that even helping? Like, is that actually going to help them? Right. Or are they just going to take it badly? Right. Like everything comes with like a nuance. Like I think we have to kind of like not be impulsive with our words, and like also not impulsive with our emotions. Because sometimes like, and there's like this one psychologist, doctor, whatever, Dr. Susan David. She has like an Instagram, and she posts stuff. Like the one thing that always sticks with me that she says is emotions are data, not directives. And we get caught up in our emotions, and we're like, I feel this way, therefore I have to act this way.
Yeah.
But like that's not the case. Or if you see someone like, oh, they're feeling this way, therefore I have to tell them to do this, or like say this to them. And like sometimes we don't do it the right way and we just make things worse. And so like it takes a lot of self-awareness on both sides. Like both sides have to like really learn how to just communicate with other people.
Because you could be trying to the best of your ability to speak to me in a charitable way, like you're saying, and tell me something about myself that you want me to work on. But then I'm too defensive.
Yeah, you're not receptive to it.
Right?
Yeah.
Then it's on me to have to check that.
And then it's also on me to just be like, okay, you're not ready to hear this.
Yeah.
Like, let's move on. Right? Yeah.
Or is that, or do you find like ways to push it? Because
there's ways to push it, but then it's also like, okay, you never want to end it, but you also want to be like, okay, how about we just like stop for now, and then when we're like both in a good place, we'll talk again. Because you can't be in a place where you're on high emotion.
True.
But you also have to gauge that person, right? Like you're like, they need to get to a point to be okay with pushing that conversation.
I feel like this is definitely more of a woman thing though, because I feel like for men, like just today we were at the mall, and then I called my brother, and she was like, "Do you guys hate each other?" And I was like, "What? Why?" And she's like, "You guys literally sound like you don't even like," because it was like for Christmas, right? Yeah. So I call him like, "Hey, what do you want for Christmas?" It's like, because I'm at the store. It's like, okay, cool, okay, fine, bye. And then she was just like, it's like you're like, oh, I have to buy you a Christmas gift. What do you want? That's like how she interpreted how I sounded. Where it's like I had to, I'm like, why?
I talk to my friends that way. I don't know what y'all mean.
Right?
No, you don't.
Yeah, I literally told you I'm not getting you anything this year.
Yeah, but you do give a reason. Like, well, actually, you haven't told us this yet. But
I already told you there's no gifts this year.
But did you say it in a nice way?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You still say it in a.
Were you
like,
cheerful?
Guys.
Yeah.
Like, can we just agree that no presents because we all like have a
Or
lot of
maybe
money?
you're
and stuff,
just
like, you know
maybe
what I
you're
mean?
just used to my deadpan.
No, but like his deadpan was like, yo, what do you want for Christmas?
But that's just men.
That's what I'm. Yeah,
They're like
That's the thing, we don't
super
need
just-
to.
yeah.
They're just like even like fights, man. Like they
Yeah.
they're like, yo, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay, cool. Like they just don't.
Because the whole
It's
thing
over.
about your
Like,
emotions
they
are
don't
not
hold-
directives. We
They
don't
don't
need
hold
to.
grudges because men tend to be more rational. To be honest with you, they tend to be. I'm not trying to bash on women. I'm not. Like,
And then you just have more emotions. You have more emotions,
we have more
to
emotions.
balance out. And play
We
with.
we become more emotional sometimes with certain situations.
Yeah.
And like one of the things, like I said, like my job has taught me so much. Like it's taught me literally to like learn when my emotions are not required in a conversation.
Yeah.
And when someone is emotional, I have to be the one to tone that down and be logical. So like, but then that's hard when you have like relationships with friends or like a significant other. Like you are in that situation where you care about the person, so you clearly
Dealing
like,
with the kids, have you seen also the difference between women, like boys and girls, men and women, that there is that?
yeah. Oh my
difference,
gosh, yeah. There's oh my god, yeah. You see the differences. It's a lot.
Like there are always outliers,
Very
right?
stagnant.
There
Like,
are
very,
outliers
like,
where
They're very like in your
Oh, yeah?
face about it. Yeah. Men tend to be more physical, like more violent,
Yeah.
whereas women they are, but their fights are totally completely different. Like they're more cat fights. Like
Okay.
they fight about like the laundry or like she stole this or like
Mm.
men are more like they're just well you're looking at me like that and then they just it's more like a physical violent thing whereas women is more like petty stuff.
disrespect
Like it's
territorial thing.
It's a
isn't it?
disrespect territorial thing whereas women is more like petty stuff like you talk shit about me. It's like Oh my God, please don't fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think we're just wired. I think women and men biologically we're just made differently. We can be logical, but when our emotions are at play, it becomes very hard for us to be logical. Like we become more emotional. That's why women tend to be more nurturers, right? Than men. Men, they think things differently. They see things differently. They'll be like, "You're fine," whereas a woman's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Like, let's just talk." You know what I mean? Like, it's a different approach. We are just different, in that way. As much as we want to avoid, like, as much as society wants to change that, it's just biological.
Yeah,
made
it's
that way.
biological. Like
It's biological. Like
you have
we
to
cannot
rewire
change
biology. You can't do that.
That. We
Yes,
just
you
can't.
can't.
It takes years. It takes
You can't
generations.
change it, but that's because that would have to be involving your environment. Your environment can change that. So that's totally different thing, right? But it just I don't know.
I
I
guess
just
that's
see
how
things
evolution
differently.
happens, right? That's evolution.
Well, no, if you have a very
don't quote me on
volatile
that.
environment with a child, and then you've like experienced all of these things in your environment, you might not be as nurturing because that's
Yeah.
all you've
That's
ever had.
true.
So that will change the wiring in your brain as a female and a male.
You won't be
right?
as nurturing.
You won't
Yeah,
be the
but
same. It'll be different. Your environment will
Yeah.
no,
shape
but I'm
you
talking
differently.
like, but is that? I don't know if I'm explaining. Never mind. It's fine.
No,
No,
no.
it's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Please,
but if you
try.
find a woman that's not as nurturing, would you then say like it's
She's less
better?
of a woman?
No,
No.
not
She's
less
less
of a woman. No, I'm not saying that
Oh.
less of a woman, but would she? It's kind of something that like, oh, I don't know how to explain it. I actually don't. Like, would she feel like there's something off with her, or like,
Oh, like there's something broken about her.
yeah.
Or not normal.
She can. Like,
Or is that I was like, no, it's fine. She's
No, I
fine.
mean, I
She's
don't.
fine.
I
it's
don't know.
listen.
Maybe
Some women are just probably not naturally nurturing,
Yeah.
but there are ways for them to nurture that works for who they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might just take going to therapy. Like, here's the thing: if you're not nurturing to the point where you can't take care of the people you
Yeah.
care about, that's a problem. That's not just like it's not my nature.
No,
It's now become like, okay, you need to work on something.
Yeah.
Because there's something
maybe a
broken there.
neurological thing.
Yeah, there's something broken there that like you can't like really like your kid is crying, you're not gonna like.
But
try
what
to
if someone
comfort
argues
them?
like right, especially right now, like I'm perfect the way I am. Like I don't need to like what who says that has to be a woman's role to be nurturing? Like why women? Why like
Well, like I
if
said, like
woman's not,
like to the
like-
point where if you cannot take care of the people around you,
yeah.
There's a
like-
biological piece to it.
yeah, there's different ways to be nurturing.
Yeah.
But at
Hormones
the
and stuff
core,
like that
like
too.
you're taking care of people, right? And if you can't take care of your family, don't have a family, or work on yourself so that you can. Like, you
Well,
can't.
that's fair. If you want a
yeah.
family, but you're not going to be able to nurture. take
Yeah,
care
like,
of them,
don't
what's
have
the
a
point?
family.
And that's for both men and women, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so. I guess I was like looking at the danger of like, we've kind of started establishing these like men roles versus women roles, and this compromise. But then, they're always like I was trying to say is there are outliers still though where the man might be the more nurturing one and the woman is like the girl boss, right? And that works. That's kind of like the new wave as well of like culture, which I don't see any issue with, where you can swap roles. But how do you account for that, right?
I
Because
think there's biological pieces to
Yeah.
that though. Like certain roles are there because for
Yeah.
men and women because biologically that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Like women, like when women have children, they release oxytocin, right? When the child is connected
True.
to the mom.
Yeah.
That's only with women.
Yeah.
Men don't release that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Even when a woman is intimate with a man, she releases oxytocin too. Men don't, which is why women tend to attach themselves to men when they have sexual relationships.
but are you telling all women like let's say like right now?
But that's biological. I'm not.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
not.
That's
That's
just
not.
biology.
That's just biology. Like there's no
Yeah.
changing that. That's why women tend to be more attached when they have someone and they're
Mm.
physically active with that person.
This is what she says tends to.
It
Tends
tends
to.
to be
Gotcha.
like
It
a
tends to.
biological piece
Some
that
women,
have.
yeah.
We're just acknowledging that
That
is
there
the tendency.
are
This is
biological
tendencies.
things
Yeah.
that men have and women have.
And it's not a
which
bad
is
thing to
why
acknowledge
we have those
women
roles.
have these roles.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not a bad thing. It's just the
Yeah.
way that we were made.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just the way that men and women were created. That's
fair.
all it is.
No, that's fair. It's like,
Like,
if as a
hormonal.
Filipino or as a Latino, like you acknowledge your your region, right? Like Filipinos are not like, it's very rare to be like a 7-foot Filipino, right? Like it's like, if I want to be like as many Filipinos who want to be basketball players or athletes, it's like, well, good luck because like
Good luck, like, where they at?
your parents are 5'5". Like, what do you expect?
You've never made like who plays for the Philippines?
Yeah, nothing stops you, and you can totally achieve for it.
Have a basketball team?
Why do Filipinos love
Hey, we have
basketball
half
so much,
Filipinos.
though?
Filipinos got smart. They're
Yeah.
starting to have half.
Yeah. They're like let's
Mix.
let's start
Get
breeding
those half,
with all these.
yeah.
Started their own thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Let's start breeding with like the actual.
But that's, I think, to your point, that's like that's
They started their saying, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess I'm trying to put
That's
context to what
hilarious.
you're
They got
saying.
smart.
That's it.
Right.
Hey, acknowledging your reality,
That's hilarious.
and then either trying a way to go around it,
That's
or
so jokes.
yeah,
Hey,
right?
smart man. You gotta work on that. If you really want something, you find a way.
Yeah,
You find a way.
You find a way.
because we have some Filipinos in the NBA right now. They have like
But they're half
Clarkson, yeah,
or full.
Jordan, no, they're not.
Jordan Clarkson. He's a half Filipino. No,
They're not.
they're half.
They're not.
Okay, now we're just going somewhere else with this.
I was just trying to add context to what you were saying then,
Yeah,
where that
like-
the tendencies of a woman biologically exist, and you're acknowledging those tendencies doesn't mean that they have to commit to those roles, or that that's just
Right.
the only way things will work,
No.
but that to not acknowledge them is also being ignorant of like a reality that you exist in.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's a reality. It's just biologically, that's just how it works. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. Like, that's how my hormones work. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, you know, it's just, I don't know. I one of the things I used to hate, and
Yeah.
I used to hate when men used to be like, I had a friend and her brother would be like, why you guys always blame it on your periods? I'm like, because it's true. I'm like, I am more emotional.
Wait, but
and
men can't
hormonal.
blame it on your periods if
It's like, why? It's
Yeah.
like you're just being emotional. I'm like, because I'm getting my period.
hey, I've
and
gotten yelled at
therefore-
when I go, is it that time of the month though? Like
No, but that's okay. Listen, but what he was trying to say is like we're blaming it on our hormones,
Yeah.
but really it's not your hormone. You're just
Okay,
being
yeah.
difficult, or you're just being emotional. And I'm like, no, it's actually biological.
And I give
our
you all-
hormones
yeah.
are like intensified for that.
you
And
blame it on your hormones, I'm more understanding. Okay,
That's
got you.
perfect.
Got you.
Better.
Yeah. I can
I'd rather
yeah.
But
blame
no,
it
but
on
then
that.
you also learn how to
How to
ask
Exactly.
if it's
Like it's that
because
time.
you're-
Okay, so now I know how to
I have had men that say that to me, like, is it the time of the month?
Yeah.
Here's some chocolate.
and it's still you get angry because
and I get more mad. I'm like,
But like here's
why
the
can't you, why do you
here's
just assume
here's
that's the reason
problem
that I'm
with
angry?
But
And
here's
then it
here's
just gets
Lou, sorry,
worse.
go ahead, Lou.
But here's
Yeah.
the problem with that's where it like becomes an issue, because now they're not being considerate of how you feel in that
no,
moment.
they're just gaslighting. They're just antagonizing you.
Well, no,
Yeah.
okay. So then I'll paint a picture though where it's actually intended to understand.
I'm really emotional,
which then-
guys. So he's gonna explain how he deals with me.
No, not. I'm not. I'm not using our examples. Definitely not. Although we found a good balance in that. But what I'm saying is like, as a woman who's
avoid.
as a woman who's self-aware.
Just once a month you avoid me. That's all.
He's
Yeah.
self-aware.
Oh gosh, it's
Oh,
it's coming
that
soon.
time.
Yeah.
But you
think I'm
can't. You
busy for
can't.
the whole week.
Here's the thing.
no,
You
he-
can't have that attitude. You cannot have that attitude. You married who you married, and you married a woman. You have to
Listen,
know.
if
What
my
attitude?
guy,
What
listen,
attitude,
if
though?
my
No, that attitude's like, oh, it's that time of the month. Like,
no, listen.
But
if
that's
my
the thing,
husband-
that's not the
if
attitude,
my
though.
husband,
Yeah.
if it works for my husband to just be away from me for a bit, so I don't yell at him, bro, go ahead, go whatever you gotta do.
See, so-
I'm good with that. I'd be like, just leave me alone. I like to be alone though. Like I like to be in my space. I don't like you looking at me. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone, you know. So if he's willing to be like, listen, I'm gonna go and like I will come late. Like I'll come home
Yeah.
late. Do what you gotta do. Just
watch
don't
her.
look at me.
Okay, but listen, watch her marry someone who'll be like, oh, you're on your period, and like fully takes care of her, and she's like, maybe I don't want to be alone.
Be like, no, why are you taking care of me? Leave me alone.
No, for Miguel, it's like just proceed with caution.
You have to receive, Diana.
No, not really though. That's the
That
thing.
doesn't work for me
If that's
today.
the personality thing,
No,
right?
it is,
Being
it is.
self-aware of like, oh no, this is just an off day for me because I am on my, and being able to say, oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's on my time, so I'm gonna be emotional. And then a guy being able to be like, okay, cool, so now I know how to handle the situation.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say like
Isn't offensive to anyone.
No,
right?
no, but like.
proceed with
But
caution.
but it can't be like this attitude of
Oh,
like,
yeah,
like,
definitely.
oh, it's your time of the month, like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, like,
Oh gosh, it's your time.
yeah, like
no.
it can't be, you can't come in with that attitude. You have to come in it's just like,
Obviously, yeah.
yeah,
Like,
like,
I mean, the guy told me that he's an idiot, anyways.
yeah,
It's still like I knew he was an idiot, but you know what I mean. Like he was just an idiot. So like whatever, we'll take what we took it.
Yeah.
But it's just funny because it's like. Like I was like I didn't take it well, but then I would laugh, and then the chocolate did help. So I was like, I was like, I love chocolate. Do you have more?
see, here's the thing, Diana.
Yes, Diana.
Here's the
some
thing,
chocolate.
Diana. Here's the thing. You're gonna say, "Oh, I want you to leave me alone." But anyone who knows you will be like, "Okay, I'm gonna give Diana some wine and some chocolate and let her rest, and she'll be fine." But like, I don't have to leave
Wine,
you
chocolate,
alone.
leave her
No,
alone.
yeah. Wine, chocolate, leave me alone.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
And see,
You can
yeah.
sit there quietly and don't talk to me. and then I'll just enjoy.
It actually might be perfect where a guy gets to then do his own little like whatever passion thing.
like, he might
I
be
love
like,
playing video games. Yes, this time of the month
This
I
is
get
the
to play
time
video
I
games.
get to do what I want. It's a compromise, I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind it personally. Like, of course, if he wants to take care of me, and he's like, like if he were to bring me a box of chocolates because he knows I love chocolates, and
Yeah.
like it's the time of the month, and he's like, here's some chocolates. I'll leave you alone now. I'll be like, I love you. Like,
Yeah.
thank you. Like, I'll be so happy. Like, I would actually be the happiest woman alive. I'd be like, you get me.
It's a great understanding.
It's-
Yeah,
it's
because
understanding,
imagine
like,
he's like
it's
playing
a
his video games and he
compromise.
gets a text, "Where's the wine?" And he goes, "Crap, I forgot
the wine.
Now he knows he screwed up because she really wants the wine.
Oh man, I'm gonna hear about
Yeah,
this.
exactly. But she's happy, so it's like everyone's good.
But everyone wins. You just compromise. I don't mind,
But I agree with
Obviously,
you.
Don't
Yeah.
obviously don't be an ass about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't.
What's
your
Oh,
chocolate wants?
yeah,
You want some
God,
chocolate?
yeah.
Like the last thing you want to do is feel like mocked or teased or like
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Especially
no.
Like if it comes
during
from a
that
good
time.
place,
Especially
Yeah.
she's like, here's your
time,
chocolate.
yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
true.
leave you now. Be like, okay.
yeah, like it's like listen, like I go through this so you can have babies. Like, can you just like not be like
Don't be.
can
an
you just
asshole.
like it's just like it's like one of those things. It's just like your period. Yes, it's a curse, quote unquote curse, but it's also a sign of something beautiful that we were created for.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and we have to treat it that way. We have to treat it as something you go through together, something that like you accept when you like get in a relationship with a woman. You accept that part of her, and like you don't like no, but like again, but you don't act like it's like, oh, this is the caveat, right?
No, of course not.
Yeah,
Like,
but I don't
there's
think
some
that- I don't
guys-
think that-
like,
yeah.
there's some guys that probably
like,
just
that's-
know. I
yeah.
will not say anything because
be
anything
honest,
I
it's
say
just-
will be
yeah.
taken away. It'll be against me. I will say
Everything
yes.
I say
They'll
or do will be
yeah.
taken against me.
You're like, oh yes, sweetheart, that's great, and then you'd be like, what do you mean
But,
by that? Did you try to say that in a negative way?
I-
Like, why would you say that?
Here's
And
the thing.
it's like,
Here's the thing, Diana. But here's the thing where we have to be accountable as women for how we also speak.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like
of
we
course.
can't be like that with men. Like, yes, men have to be like more cautious and they have to be more considerate, but we also have to understand like it's our time of the month. We can be irrational. We have to
Yeah,
think
like, know
before
ourselves.
we react
Of course.
to men. We
Yeah.
can't just make it an excuse for ourselves to be a certain way
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
demand
that's true.
certain things from men just because like
Yeah.
we have our period.
No,
we
that's
still
true.
have
Yeah.
to be good
It was
human
just an
beings.
example, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but like
we were
like
just having fun with it.
no,
yeah.
you're having
I'm
fun.
having a great
It is,
time.
but like
It's
so,
funny.
but like
I'm picturing it in my head.
no,
I'm
but
like,
Diana,
oh, that's a joke.
it's funny to you, but like some women are like that, and they're like, "Oh, it's fine. Like I can make that my excuse."
well, yeah. I mean, and shame on you for
Yeah.
those women.
Yeah, but
Don't do that.
that's
That's
the
not
only
nice.
that's the only reason why I say it. We can't lean one way
Yeah.
and not go
you
the
have
other
to
way.
you have to take accountability.
So what do you think the norm is? Because I was gonna say, in defense of men, I actually do think most men are more understanding of like, oh, it is that time. Like I have to navigate this differently.
Yeah.
And if they don't know it, if they were told that or understood it, it wouldn't be like a quick. It wouldn't be a hard thing to swallow for them, where they would just be like, oh, wow, no, it's your problem. No, they would probably be like, okay, let me help you.
Yeah.
But how many women, I guess, are more self-aware of? I am also a bit of, I have issues when I'm on. Not,
Well, that's
you know what I
something
mean?
you
Like,
have to learn together.
Yeah, women
that's-
also
that's
have
is
how
it
you
more
should be
normal though? Is it
self-aware.
more normal when women are more self-aware, or is it more like? That's what I'm saying.
I
What's the
don't know, I
norm? I
cannot
guess.
speak.
I don't know if that's the norm, like, but like, women have to at some point also just like understand that, like, oh yeah, it's my
Interesting.
time of the month. Like, okay, here we go. Like,
Yeah, but
I have
sometimes
to
when
give
you're in your
myself-
time of the month, like anything annoys you. Like for me, so many
But-
things
but
annoy
that's-
me.
but that's something
like,
you-
I'm like, you look at me, I'm like, why are you looking
But
at me?
Diana, that's something you have to like work on. That's something women have to
Like
work on.
I have just annoyed as
like
it is.
like for
don't- you
me
know?
when I'm
Yeah.
emotional in my period, like I can go to really dark places in my head, and I have to like not let myself go there because I know emotionally I get to that point. So I have to work on that part of myself so it doesn't affect my relationships with other people. If you know you're absolutely terrible to be when you're on your period, you got to work on that.
No, just be alone.
No, that's not receptive.
That's just how it is right now.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. I will say this though. If, to her point, and to both your points, if I find the middle here, the degree of like
it's
concern
gonna be.
behind what the period, I guess, affects you in a way. So if her problem is like she just doesn't like people's attention or certain things, and she's like, I just like being alone. And her husband's like, yeah, literally, that's cool.
But
I'll
that's
give you
that's
one.
completely
That's
fine.
cool too,
but the
right?
reaction has to manifest in a way that doesn't lash out or like
Oh, yeah.
like be like an excuse
That's
to other
fair.
people. Like
To
you
be mean or
you
be
can't be
nasty.
mean.
Yeah, but like for example, like I'll give you an example. Like like simple example, like, you know, clearly I am bothered.
Yeah.
Because
Well, then you don't provoke.
there is a situation where, like, it's that time of the month, and you think it's a time of the month. Instead of you being nice and leaving me alone, you start poking the bear.
But that's the thing. You don't.
No, you don't poke the bear.
But that's Diana.
I'm gonna
that's
get
the
more
thing.
pissed off.
But that's the thing. You
don't talk to me.
You learn not to provoke, but you also don't allow yourself to, like, you know, like
Get offended.
Let
by
get
something.
offended
Be
by or like if it's a small thing and they're unaware, you don't let you kind of have to learn to be like, okay, maybe they didn't like mean
No,
it.
they knew. I knew they knew.
Okay, but Diana, what if they don't?
No, they did. They gave me chocolate.
What
after.
if there's other?
They said
No, Diana.
it's the time of the month. Here's chocolate.
But Diana,
like,
Diana,
okay,
what's the
take
difference
it.
between someone giving you chocolate because they care about you and someone giving you chocolate in a way that's like, oh, I'm provoking you, haha, you're in, like, you know, it's that difference.
I don't
There's
think
a
it was a
difference.
provoking either. I think it was more
Yeah.
of like a, here's chocolate, maybe it'll calm you down.
Yeah.
Here it is.
And that's fine, but
then I
like,
was fine after
but
that.
they weren't provoking you. They weren't trying to like
no, but like
push your
certain things they were
buttons.
saying, they were provoking.
and
me. I
that's-
was in a situation,
yeah.
Louise, and I'm telling you, he was doing it to piss me
But
off.
I'm saying
He just did it to piss me off. He poked and poked and
Diana,
poked.
that is
and
one
I literally,
man.
I don't care, bro. I'm telling you
not
my
all
experience.
men.
I'm telling you my experience with that specific situation.
And I'm
so
saying
that's why I'm
that's
saying I was
fine.
annoyed. And
She's
then they
trying
gave
to
me
talk about
chocolate.
in other situations.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
other
about
situations,
man.
I don't know, because I haven't been in a situation where a
know.
man has been nice to me when I'm on my period. So
but
I'm
they
literally
can
like
be.
triggered by that. I'd be like,
But
listen,
they can be.
don't
But Diana,
do it.
like you're
Okay, so on next week's pod, we're gonna have you here on your.
I am on my period. This is why.
No.
It all makes sense now.
Well,
All
I
right.
didn't notice it all. So.
You didn't notice anything.
Because
You were
it's
so calm
gross.
and collected. All right. I'm sorry, Louise.
This is going exactly how I imagined it was gonna go.
You guys are hysterical. Oh my goodness.
It's okay, Louise. It's fine.
I think the point was made. I
I think
we
your
get
point
it.
was made, and I get it. I get you. What
And
you're
whoever
saying.
did
Yeah.
I understand. I just
wine
hope
and
that I have a
chocolate, leave
person
her
that's
alone.
going to be what
That's
I
what
said.
I mean.
Wine and chocolate, leave
Leave
me
me alone and give me my wine and chocolate and leave me alone.
What kind of wine?
Cabernet Sauvignon.
Something that makes
preferably.
her sleep.
I really love wine. Makes me sleep. So
Exactly.
it's a great whatever you give me, I'll fall asleep.
Yeah.
It'll be good for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a great thing
Give
for
me
I
a
don't
everyone.
think it's a bad thing.
Give me
yeah.
I don't think it's bad either. I'm
Give
just-
me a-
until it's here's the thing, until it becomes a problem. Let's say you
Yeah.
have duties as like a
Yeah,
parent.
let's say you
and
have a, you have a
Yeah.
mother.
then then it's like, okay, now you gotta also apply what she's saying, right?
Yeah.
And start stepping it up.
Be like, or maybe you can help me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
Yeah,
again, you
maybe
guys
you
are
can-
working
It's
as
not
a
only
team.
my child. It's yours too.
No, the thing is, the child is like you're. He's gonna do it. I'm sure
I'd be
he's
like,
gonna help.
please take care of the child.
But it's not one of those. You go
100%
into your
today.
cave and
I'm
then
a 50%
he
today.
just does
Not
everything.
even 20%. No, it's okay. I guess, yeah, I get what
Right.
you're saying. I totally get you.
Mm-hmm,
I just haven't experienced it. So.
No, I know.
It's a trigger, so whatever. When I get to that point, I'll tell you how it goes. If I find someone that's actually worth it and is nice to me.
I'm sure you'll get used. I'm sure.
This is already an iconic pod. Like I don't.
I
know
really,
what
I
to call it.
truly.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to cut anything from me.
No, definitely not. This is fine. We're keeping it. I think this is a good place to actually stop for today.
Yeah, probably.
It
We
is.
don't want to like get any more fumes.
But I
going
definitely
over
have
here.
ideas for like next time we bring
Furious
us all in.
talks. Maybe we should do the next walkout when I'm on my period. We'll see what
That's
happens.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm literally proposing. I
3
was
more
like, we'll
weeks,
do
guys.
it. Oh, it just has
3
to.
weeks. I'll tell you.
That's why you're so cheery and nice, because you just finished your period and you're
She's ovulating.
glowing, you're ovulating.
Yeah.
No, not yet. I don't think I'm
Oh, there you
ovulating
go.
yet.
Okay,
We're
again,
getting there.
we'll see you guys next 2 weeks.